And then give us your deal term again if you don't have it on the slide.
Okay.
Thank you. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Davide Giacobbe, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Voltes. Today, I'm going to talk about used electric vehicles and batteries. So about used electric vehicles, it's very important to highlight that determination of battery health drives EV value. So I'm sure that a lot of you that have gotten in touch with electric vehicles know that the battery is the most valuable component and critical asset of an EV. So understand how healthy is the battery and get as much data as we can about battery health is very important to determine the residual value of an EV. But at the moment, accessing this type of data is very critical and difficult on a lot of EVs because it is true that some EVs like Teslas show battery health data on the dashboard, but this data is available after at least 16 hours and a full charge and discharge cycle. So meaning that you have to leave the car plugged in for such amount of time to retrieve this important data. And of course, this long testing time is not suitable for the used car industry. And I'm talking about specifically about dealers, auctions, and fleets. So all the challenges that are present in the used car market, in the used EV market, especially for dealers, service shops, and auctions are that, for example, for a missing battery assessment, these entities are exposed to up to $20,000 losses because this is the typical average cost of a major battery repair or replacement. On top of that, without any kind of battery insights, the profitability on their EV inventory is hindered simply because buyers are less confident to consider used electric vehicles with no battery data attached. And last but not least, there is a component of uncaptured revenue that could come from specific EV services on which especially service shops are currently missing out, either because they don't have access to the technologies that allow them to do that, or because of lack of knowledge. So to solve all of these issues, we created Voltes. And with Voltes, all of these businesses are able to generate in just 2 minutes highly accurate battery health assessment. And they can retrieve and see a lot of multiple data points about battery health. The way our solution works is that there is a small hardware component that connects directly to the car via what is called OBD port, so onboard diagnostic port that every car has. And in that way, we are able to retrieve this data and work on this data to provide our independent report and independent battery health assessment. We are currently compatible with more than 90% of the EVs and plug-in hybrids on the US car market, and our solution is extremely easy to use. It's phone app based, and it essentially requires no training. So this is the type of report that we are generating and that we are providing to our customers. This is what we call the acquisition report, because this is a report that our customers are using during the phase of acquisition of their cars, either from auctions or from private parties. And we provide the most important metrics in order to provide them the possibility to create an assessment of the car. So state of health, that is the actual usable battery capacity compared to new. Estimated range, that is another very important metric that used car buyers are looking at. And also in the second page, you can find a more granular and detailed representation of all the cell voltage readings that we provide. And it is especially important because in this case, the graph is flat, meaning that the battery is very healthy. If there is one single element that is underperforming, it means that the battery has a potential issue in that moment. And also we provide to our customer the dealer portal integrations, meaning that all the data that they are generating during the tests can be integrated into their website, into their listings, in order to speed up the resale operations and provide more data to their potential customers. We provide this data also via API if dealers don't want to integrate our badges or widgets. This is what we're already doing with Richard, that is a dealer group in Virginia. And last piece of our offering of our product is also the battery warranty, meaning that every car that tests positively with our solution is eligible for a lifetime battery warranty, regardless of any age and miles. So essentially any car, even if with 200,000 miles, 10 years old, can qualify for this lifetime battery warranty if it scores a positive results with our solution. In terms of business model, we are selling our hardware component, our hardware kit at $399 one-time payment. And tied to that, there is a base subscription fee. There are two different subscription tiers. One is the base subscription at $299 a month for the acquisition report only. If dealers want to integrate also the data into their website, the subscription tier is $499 a month. And about the warranty is provided by a third-party provider with which we have an agreement. And we are generating $150 per every new contract in terms of revenue share. In this case study, we are showing, I wanted to show how currently EV Auto, that is one of our most important customers, is using Voltes. So first of all, they are using Voltes for appraisals. And with this, they can save up to $20,000 on every purchased EV and plug-in hybrid vehicles. On top of that, they are also reselling our reports at their fixed or mobile service operations for $100 each. And they are monetizing extended warranty as well, making around $1,000 in pure profit on every new contract, on every new car that is covered by this extended warranty. And in general, they are generating up to $100K a month in revenue by using Voltes. This is the current footprint we have in the US in terms of dealerships. We are working with the most important dealerships that are focusing on EVs all across the country, like EV Auto that I just mentioned, Recharged, Henna Imports, and Caroline EV. They are all dealerships, single location or 2 or 3 location dealership groups, small dealership groups that are selling around 100 EVs per month. So already with high volumes of pre-owned EVs at this moment in time. And in terms of revenue, year to date, we started selling Voltes at the very beginning of this year, 2025, and we just crossed $100,000 in revenue that are coming from 3 different revenue streams. As I mentioned before, subscriptions, device sales, but also warranty revenue share. And recently, we also closed 2 important enterprise deals that are starting. This one is going to start in the next month. So with My Car, that is a tire and auto repair chain in Australia. This enterprise deal is worth $100K ARR. It's going to be an 18-month agreement with 50 locations involved. And yeah, in terms of monthly recurring, $8,500 a month, and with options of expansion in year 2 and year 3 for up to 120 locations. And the second enterprise deal that we recently closed and that just already started is with Evercars. That is one of the leading EV stores in the US for EVs. Is an enterprise deal with 25,000 annual recurring revenue per location. At the moment, Evercars has 1 location in San Francisco and planning to expand with other 2 locations in California by the end of this year, and also to expand very soon in other states at the beginning of 2026. In terms of competitive landscape, we have to distinguish essentially to differentiate from like 2 different approaches that are on the market, what we call non-VIN specific approach, and the other one that is VIN specific. So where VIN stands for vehicle identification number. We are under the group of VIN specific approach because our solution is hardware based, and we made this choice to be able to retrieve data that are coming exactly from that car, from that VIN specific VIN vehicle identification number, sorry. And in that way, we are able to produce a deterministic result that is also ready for resale and warranty underwriting. With other solutions that are already on the market, like Recurrent, that is, we can say, the leading company at the moment on the US market. These are solutions that are relying on historical data sets, so large amount of data, and they are essentially producing probabilistic and assessment that don't confirm the current battery pack condition. So essentially, they made the choice to go only on the software route, but the type of assessment that is produced is that can be used also for warranty underwriting, like in our case. In terms of what we want to build a category defining company in the EV space, especially in the used EV space. We started with the product that we have and with the dealer portal integration. We just expanded to the extended warranty, putting that out under our brand. And the next steps are to bring on the market the consumer product at the beginning of 2026, because we already received a lot of requests from private parties and private owners that either they want to test the health of their EV or they want to test the health of the battery of the EV they are considering to purchase as a used EV. And other steps that we see in the future are also an EV marketplace constituted by cars that will be vetted by Voltest only, and also data monetization, meaning that we have also routes to monetize all the data in terms of state of health and degradation of the batteries that we are already collecting from our dealer customer base. In terms of investors, at the moment, aside from the investment that us as the founders made on the company, we are backed by Techstars. We have been part of the Techstars Energy Tech in 2023, and also Generator G-Beta, that was an accelerator we went through, no money, no equity. And in terms of advisory board, we are supported by our board of strategic advisors. And in terms of the team, Niccolo and I are two co-founders. So Niccolo is the technical soul of the company. We are both automotive engineers with more than a decade of experience in our industry. I spent more than a decade between Yamaha Motor and Lamborghini as an engineering team leader, where Niccolo was an applied AI and machine learning engineer at Ducati, and then a vehicle testing engineer at Ferrari.
Okay, we are out of time. If you have the last couple of things you want to wrap up.
Yeah. So in terms of the raise, we are raising $2 million with the target of spending the money mostly on the go-to-market side, so sales and marketing, and also to expand in terms of product and data, developing an SDK, so software development kit, to facilitate the integration with dealer and auction apps like Copart or Carvana, this type of organization. Thank you so much.
Do I have any questions? Hans?
How do you get your data? Are you discharging your batteries and measure the voltage in the current, or how do you get your data?
Yeah, so no, we don't discharge the battery. So that is the approach that, for example, I mentioned at the very beginning of my presentation that takes around 16, 17 hours. The way we are getting the data is just via the OBD port, as I mentioned before. So we have this small device that connects with the car. For cars that don't have this port, like some Teslas or Lucid, we are providing to dealers also some adapter cables. So we figure out a way to connect somewhere else on the car. But essentially, the total time we need to gather the data, we need to run the assessment, is anything between 2 and 4 minutes.
So if you take the data just from the port, why can't the manufacturers just display the data. I mean, that's all they're doing in that case, no?
Yeah. So first of all, manufacturers are not, it's not in their interest to display battery data because there are triggered with battery warranties, first of all, and they usually provide 8 years or 100,000 miles of battery warranty. On top of that, the second reason why we are bringing this product to the market is that manufacturers are offering dealership the possibility to get this type of data through their diagnostic tools. But if you are a pre-owned dealership, you need to buy all different diagnostic tools from the original equipment manufacturers. So you have essentially to spend a lot of money to buy all different diagnostic tools to be able to test all cars on the market. And with our solution, you can just have our solution and have the possibility to test all the cars on the market.
So I guess I don't understand. Why is it hardware? Why is it just plug into the board and use software to get the data? I mean, what do you need hardware for in that case?
So essentially, the data are usually encrypted. So data are encrypted when you connect to the port. If you connect with like a standard OBD that is available on the market, you are not able to retrieve any data that is useful to run your assessment. So what we have done on the software side is to reverse engineering all the communication protocol that OEMs have in order to get the data we need to provide the assessment of the battery. But data are usually encrypted, you're not able to access this data in a very easy way because manufacturers are not allowing anyone to access this data. Did I answer your question?
No, but that's okay.
So let me ask you a question then. What happens if the manufacturer changes the API key, the security key? So you figured out how to de-encrypt that key.
Yeah.
What's to prevent them from changing the key?
We adapt our solution to get that key again.
You're always playing catch up with the key.
Yes, essentially what it's something that has been around since automotive industry exists. Independent evaluation are always based on reverse engineering of the communication protocol that the manufacturers are defining. And we don't need any kind of permission from the manufacturer to access the data. We are working on the reverse engineering in order to gather the data anyway. But yeah, if they change the key, we have to adapt our approach to get the data that we need.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions. Tell me, you're focusing on dealers or independent service shops. Which one first?
Dealers. We are the vast majority of our current customer base is constituted by dealers, so around 90%.
How many dealers do you currently have at your backlog?
We have 25 dealers in the US. And what was the other question?
And what's your backlog? How many are in your sales funnel?
Okay, so in the sales funnel, we have other like 20 dealership at the moment in terms of potential opportunities.
All right, two more quick questions. Did any of the dealers that you signed up churn off, or once they bought the equipment, it's there? It's like they either use it or they don't use it, right?
Yes.
All right, so there's really no churn per se. If you had accumulated the 25 dealers you currently have, or the 20 dealers you have, plus the 25 additional, what would be your revenue in a year? What's your financials? If you could put those up again, I'm just curious.
Davide, can you hear us?
I think we lost audio.
Okay, not sad.
It's Lamborghini, they break down a lot, so what the hell?
He's there though.
He's there.
Is there, but.
Usually people can hear me without a mic, I don't understand.
Is it, is
He
that?
froze.
Yeah, he's not blinking.
Yeah, frozen.
Somebody didn't like the question, I guess.
You didn't like your questions, David. You like your question. Yeah.
I heard that in the story of Chicago, yeah, I get that. That was low. They showed, they didn't show the financials.
So Hans, you're right, Hans. You don't need the hardware. You can use.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
So if you get all these dealers, if you get the 25 dealers plus the ones in the funnel, what
Yeah.
would be your revenue? Can you show your financials for the next several years?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Yes, so these are, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it on my little screen anyway, then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you can see it.
Yeah, essentially, these are our financials, and in terms of in terms of total revenue with warranty, we are looking at, we already surpassed our current target in 2025, and in terms of 2026, we are looking at 2.5 million in terms of revenue that are coming from from both subscription and warranty as well.
Got it. Okay. And what's the valuation on the deal? What's your safe or convertible cap?
Yeah, it's 10 million post money.
10 million posts. Okay, appreciate it, thanks.
What do you need the hardware for? What do you need the hardware for? Why do you need hardware?
Yeah. So the hardware, we need it because of what I explained before in order to gather the right data. So without the hardware, the only way you can get the data of the battery is via API, but you do need permissions from OEMs. So essentially you have to partner with the OEM to get the data, otherwise it's kind of impossible. With the hardware, you can create an independent approach that doesn't require you to create any kind of partnership or get any kind of permission from the OEM. And you have to work on the software side to create this reverse engineering approach and gather the data that you need for the correct assessment.
Can you go back to your competitive landscape?
Yeah. Yes, here. Okay, so what do you have any specific questions about that?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Hisham, online, go ahead.
Yeah, on the solution, is this just a window solution, like a window of time where the manufacturers might provide this kind of data integrated into the dash of each vehicle, and or provide solutions to dealers that are kind of in their diagnostic tools? Are you concerned about essentially this being just a limited time solution?
No, because as I already said, let's take Tesla. Tesla is the leading EV manufacturer and it's the most advanced one on the software side, right? So they already provide this data. But as I said before, you can get and retrieve this data after 17 hours. Why are not they providing this data right now in a couple of minutes? Because it's not in their interest to provide this data because they are tied and they are connected to battery warranty. It's not in their interest to show that degradation is easily, you can easily spot and understand degradation of their batteries. And it's the same type of approach that all the OEMs are having. So showing it is true, as I said in this very first slide, it is true that some EVs, and it's already happening, do show battery health on the dashboard, but after a full charge and discharge cycle. So what we are giving in terms of possibility to our dealers is the possibility to get the same, even the like more accurate type of data and assessment after a couple of minutes, without relying on all different diagnostic tools that, aside from Tesla, they will need, and they do need right now. So this is the main differentiation. We are not scared about the fact that also OEMs are going to provide this data or are already providing this data, because a lot of dealerships and auction organization, they prefer actually independent type of assessment compared to what OEMs are already providing, because OEMs can provide, I would say, biased type of assessment because they are influenced on what they want to show.
Okay, another two quick questions. Can you explain the warranty and how that works? And also, do you have any testing to validate whether your battery health is as accurate or more accurate than the manufacturer's?
Mhm.
No, every day we are at a time, so we can keep it as concise as possible.
Yeah. So the battery warranty, very quickly, is a lifetime battery extended warranty, meaning that when the car shows a state of health equal or higher than 80%, so that the usable battery capacity is equal or higher than 80%, the car and the battery has no other issues, the car is eligible automatically for this battery extended warranty. And the other question was, what was the other question? Sorry, very quickly.
The accuracy of your
Oh,
testing.
the accuracy. Yeah. So the accuracy, we measure the accuracy with real world driving type of assessment, meaning that on our back end. So when we are in the development phase, on the back end side of our development, we drive the car to measure that the current actual battery capacity is what our system shows. And we counter verify this. Then in that way, the dealer is not required to do the same thing. So they're not required to drive, but we do that on our back end to verify that the accuracy of the data is high.
Okay, that means we're out of time. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming to TCA. One of us will get back to you within the next day or two.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Next, we have Orbius Medical with
Melton. And then Sean, come on. Tyler, there's someone else in the waiting room. Is James Lee with you?
He is not.
Okay, thank you. Right back.
Hi, Tyler. Welcome to TCA.
Thank you.
Just like pre-screening, you have 12 minutes for presentation, 12 minutes Q&A. And spell your deal term at the end if it's not on your slide. Thank you.
Sounds great. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Alrighty. Oops, wrong one. Let's go do that. Alrighty. Well, thank you all for having us. My name is Tyler Melton. I am the CEO and co-founder of Corvius Medical, joined by my co-founder and physician, heart failure specialist, Dr. Ishan Kamat, and we're developing a catheter-based denervation solution for congestive heart failure. I don't need to tell this group this, but heart failure is a massive issue. It's affecting over 6 million Americans, and of course, even larger worldwide. It's extremely expensive to the system every year. Essentially, these patients are extremely expensive to treat and very complex. But the real kicker is this last part. After diagnosis, they're dead within 5 years, the average patient. So there's a extreme mortality rate for this that these patients are not seeing any sort of relief or ways to mitigate their heart failure progression. And that's why these groups, these larger strategics from Medtronic, J&J, Boston, et cetera, are either looking to deploy capital in these spaces or acquiring companies are interested because they need to fill this part of their portfolio to treat these patients. Currently, it's managed by volume management. So as you can see here, the heart is congested, which is one of the issues of heart failure. And these patients are given medication, a handful of them that they have to, of course, take. So they have to be compliant, but they also become ineffective over time for many. And this leads them to be readmitted to the hospital, adding to that expensive cost, but essentially progressing their disease until either transplant or death, because there's no effective solutions on market currently. One thing we've learned is that an overactive nerve signal is one of the root causes of this congestion in the heart, as seen here. Fortunately, we've seen that by removing this nerve branch from temporary nerve block studies to surgical studies and even catheter ablation, you can see these positive benefits for these patients with little to no adverse events recorded. Essentially, by removing one nerve branch, you can offset this congestion. And they've been trying to chase this for a long time. This is back in the 60s in Houston, Dr. DeBakey surgically doing some of these procedures. It was very invasive. As you can imagine, many of these patients can't tolerate that sort of surgery. And of course, it didn't have many applications because they couldn't really have that use case for these patients. In the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen catheter-based denervation coming out for hypertension that we did see some success on, but the one thing that we've learned is that nerve ablation is really difficult to do. Essentially, you cannot see nerves under standard imaging, so you don't know where they are. You cannot miss because they can regrow over time if you don't have a durable ablation or removal. But lastly, there's no way right now to confirm that you were successful prior to discharging your patient. So these doctors don't know that they actually successfully treated their patient initially. And that's essentially where we come in. We operate completely away from the heart seen here on a bilateral nerve, meaning that this nerve branches on both sides. So again, we're away from the heart. There's about a 2 millimeter gap between the vein and the nerve at this T10 location. And we've seen studies, as well as our cadaveric studies, show that 99% of the time that nerve is there in patients. So it's consistent. We've come up with this device. Our device goes into this area and essentially is able to leverage this anatomical alignment to reach and remove this nerve directly. And the one thing we've luckily done is we've mitigated all these challenges that denervation has occurred in the past. For one, that we map the nerve with our external electrode system, so we essentially find it before we do anything. Our extravascular probe, which targets the ablation site directly, so we focus our ablation directly on this nerve, so we are not missing. And lastly, we do have a way to check for success, so our physicians know that these patients were successfully treated prior to sending them home. And our procedure is pretty much a 4-step process. We use as I mentioned, our external electrodes to find the nerve. So we send one sends and one receives, mapping it, making sure that we're along that branch. We then puncture with our small micropuncture size ablation probe, where we verify location again by doing the same thing. And then we use RF ablation to ablate that lengthwise and away from the vessel itself, giving us that durable approach, but also sparing that surrounding tissue. And lastly, our real advantage is the confirmation mechanism. Essentially, our device checks its work, knowing this nerve has been fully destroyed before discharging the patient. Compared to other ablation technologies being in development, as seen here, they essentially ablate from inside the vessel, so they don't directly reach the target, which, as you can see, essentially creates both a smaller ablation zone, so that durability goes down, but also can affect the vessel itself. So that lengthwise removal, as I was mentioning, that direct approach allows us to take that larger chunk out. But again, it also allows us to confirm. Since we're not measuring through our ablation zone, we can essentially still activate the nerve and double check that its signal is there or not. We've de-risked our device over time. So this is one of our anatomical studies. As you can see here, that is the vein and the nerve in location. We made sure we had consistent ablation zones in various models, as well as this is our device in a perfused cadaveric model. We performed simulated use testing and had no issues locating this reaching the exact point in a human with a non-trained user. And lastly, as I mentioned, the confirmation mechanism. So as seen here, the top is the send and the bottom is the receive, a cleaned up version of that, of course, but you can see that consistent wavelength. And after we remove that nerve fully, you see that drop off, almost a binary signal saying yes or no, that that nerve has been removed. So because there's no more activity. These are essentially our evolution over time. As you can see, our device has evolved over the last few years, but essentially we are at our final design right now, as seen on the right, working with experts at Fogar Innovation. We're also lucky that we can provide value across the board. Of course, treating patients is the primary thing, to actually give them a way to decrease their symptoms and decrease their heart failure severity. But of course, giving doctors a way to treat their patients and get paid to do it. But also we save the system of money, as I mentioned before, with those expensive readmission costs. It averages about $18,000 per readmission per patient, so it can be expensive over time, and quality penalties are associated with this. So the hospital itself, there's initiatives across the board to decrease heart failure, increase outcomes of heart failure. But the real kicker actually is that we also can make money. Our device is an outpatient cath lab procedure that does have some reimbursement identified, so we can essentially save and make money for the system. In terms of this, a heart failure spectrum, there are other things in place that are coming out. So interatrial shunts, those familiar, they're poking a hole in the middle of the heart to offload that volume that we are actually going after as well. But they really can't, the data shows they cannot treat the worsening to advanced heart failure patients. Essentially, their therapy is not going to be applicable for those patients. Later stage heart failure, we use valvular therapy as you know, because of the structural changes. We have to go in and essentially put those valves in or replace them. But there's this gap in treatment. There's nobody that can really treat this worsening stage right now between moderate and advanced, and that's essentially where we come in. Data suggests that we can treat both the shunts population, the moderate population, as well as the worsening, and prevent these patients from getting to the valvular therapy region. As I mentioned, the population of heart failure is about 6.2 million in the US. This study, as I mentioned earlier, which is a randomized controlled trial of about 80 patients, showed that the responding group should equate to about 1.35 million of these patients in the US. And other data does suggest that's potentially applicable for another 2.4 million. So out of a patient population, we have very many we can go after at a minimum of 1.35. We, as I mentioned earlier as well, that we do have endovascular codes that we can utilize in the short term while we generate even more robust ones long term and have ways to get our users paid. We expect our device to cost $11,000 on the average sale price, with about a $650 cost of goods sold at scale. And we've also been fortunate to be working with the experts at Cooley, medical device experts on the IP side. And essentially, we do have a patent in place and 4 other families processing right now that cover our method, our confirmation mechanism, as well as our bipolar ablation probe. And after analysis, we do believe we will have freedom to operate long term. We've also been fortunate to put our technology on the main stage at some of the top cardiovascular conferences in the world. So this is our co-founder presenting at TCT, the largest interventional cardiologist conference, essentially during the Shark Tank, put it in front of the experts, and we were able to pressure test our solution. And we did receive buy-in and feedback for the potential of our device and our method of action from one of the top KOLs in the space, Dr. Daniel Burkhoff. The first in-human study, which we're looking to complete by the end of next year, or start by the end of next year, is we up to 20 patients looking at both HFpEF and those familiar with HFrEF, both sides of heart failure, with a 3-month follow-up. We'll use that to guide our EFS and our pivotal study, which we expect to be about 300 patients with a 12-month follow-up, and looking at outcomes like heart failure events, mortality, as well as standard cardiovascular diagnoses like NAYH class and KCCQ testing. We're also fortunate that ROIs and cardiovascular technologies have been quite high. So this is already in the original denervation for hypertension, picked up by Medtronic post-pilot study for $800 million. An AFib catheter, for those familiar, another cardiovascular device, from Farapulse, Boston Scientific, $575 before approval. And then lastly, the V-Wave, the interatrial shunt that I mentioned earlier, was picked up about a year ago for $1.7 billion from J&J pre-FDA approval after their pivotal study. Unfortunately for us is that, as I mentioned before, is that our device has a larger patient population applicable, as well as is less invasive, since we do not affect the heart directly like they do. Since we started in the preclinical phase, we've secured grant funding. We've completed about 25 animals to date, had multiple conversations with the FDA, and we've just created our final form factor of our device. And we are currently raising the last part of our 2.1 seed round, which is on a safe note, an $8 million post-money valuation, which will be used for V&V with our design freeze, first in human preparation, and IP expansion. So we'll be ready to hit the road running whenever we are ready for our first in human study. And we're looking for the last 250,000 of that $2.1 million raise. We have some of that in conversations right now, but until that's signed, we're still looking for some of that. We closed about 100 of that, so 150 that we're still looking for, and we open a discussion for more if that makes sense. And we're looking to raise a Series A, as I mentioned, to fuel our first in human study. This will use for our EFS application to kick things off, and ultimately for a pilot and pivotal study with approval as a Class 3 device sometime in 2031. And just to kind of equate some of those timelines, so pre-acquisition points, we expect to be possibly acquired at the pilot study stage, the 2028 and 2029, or after our pivotal or around our pivotal study, 2030, 2031. We're still a small, lean team. As I mentioned, we're the two co-founders that have a background in biomedical engineering as well as medical device business strategy. Dr. Kamat is a heart failure specialist at UCSF, as well as runs many early stage trials currently, so he has that experience. And we have a catheter-based engineer that we got through Johnson & Johnson, our contacts, Byron Smith. We're also very fortunate to be supported by the individuals at Fogarty Innovation. So those not familiar, Fogarty is run by medical device executives that have been successful, that have executed in the past, and it's led by Andrew Cleland. Andrew was the CEO of Ardian, the one I mentioned earlier that was picked up for $800 million by Medtronic, has also sold a company, a valve company to Medtronic for another, I believe, $500 million or so. But essentially, they were the pioneers of innovation that we were able to utilize a lot of their learnings and their expertise to guide our strategy. We're also lucky to have space in the Texas Medical Center that's led by Dr. Billy Cohn, a cardiothoracic inventor extraordinaire. And essentially, we have our own machine shop and in-house manufacturing to keep our costs down and keep our timelines as we need. And then lastly, we're guided by many KOLs in this space. Dr. Leeview Klein at UCSF, who Ishan works under right now, who's led many other heart failure trials. Dr. Udelson, who is one of the shunt leads many of the shunt trials, and Dr. Richard Chang from UCLA, who we potentially may work with us for our first human study. And lastly, Dr. Chandra, who is the director of heart failure and transplant at Methodist San Antonio, which is one of the largest volumes of heart transplant in the nation. To summarize things, that our pathway clinically is de-risked. We know this works in at least 1.35 million Americans, and we expect more. We are also guided by medical device veterans in both renal denervation as well as across the board in medical device experience. And then lastly, we're seeing significant investments into cardiovascular technologies as well as returns because the need is there and the success is coming forward. So I'd love any other questions y'all have, and I appreciate the time.
I'm going to start with a question. I don't have enough background on the congestive heart failure. So what I'm trying to understand is, what are patients' treatment options? So are you one of the solution in multiple, options? And then that's the approach you're taking? Or is this something that once it's approved, this is one of the best solutions? Are you solving the old problem with a new tool? Or you see what the question is coming from? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's a great question. So, I've basically positioned my career in a way that I know transplant's the mission to Mars. A lot of patients can't get transplant, mostly because of limitation there. So they're left with medications. But what happens if you have a patient who can't tolerate medications due to side effects or just aren't benefiting from them? They have no options. So we would be the first line therapy for patients who are not able to tolerate medications, which is a growing number, and the reason why we have such high transplant volumes.
So by deactivating or removing a nerve, there's proven clinical data that will offer them a longer period of time before heart failure, or is that actually a solution that then they will be good forever?
Yeah, so there is clinical data in humans, some of which was done at UCSF and other centers across the United States and even internationally, that shows a couple of key things. One, that it's a safe procedure. The patients do not suffer significant side effects at a large scale. Two, that it does improve pressures in the heart and prevents progression or worsening heart failure events like hospitalizations. And three, that over time, there are structural changes in the heart. Once you take that pressure off, the heart is able to remodel and heal. So those are the three things that we're seeing.
Okay, good call.
there are a number of companies in your space that seem to have been acquired by bigger players like J&J and Medtronic and so on. What would prevent those companies, the larger acquirers, from developing technologies similar to yours, improving on what they have? Is there a bigger moat than just patents?
Sure.
Go for it.
Sorry, Isha, I didn't cut you off, but essentially, fair question. I should be referring to the renal denervation companies, some of the other ways to do that. So renal denervation was designed for a different anatomical structure. It's in a vessel that has nerves wrapped around it. So essentially, their solution has to ablate, actually more similar to our competitors, but in that more shotgun approach. Some of the things we were talking about before with making sure that you're specific on the nerve itself. So the device is actually designed to go after a different anatomical structure. So it'll be very hard to port that over successfully based on what we're seeing.
Yeah, they'd have to start from square zero, invent a new device,
Yeah.
so and so, and then that restarts the regulatory conversation. And then obviously have to come up with a new design entirely to circumvent our IP.
What's their IP based on?
I apologize. What was the question?
What's your IP based on? Why do you believe it's significant and sustainably different?
Sure. So Wes, I mentioned we were working with Cooley and Wilson beforehand. So we did pretty much our analysis when we first looked. And our IP really is special because we are the extravascular approach, the way we've designed our device is different. Essentially, everyone's going after, as the question was just asked, around ablating from inside the vessel, just kind of creating that thing. And we had the idea to essentially exit the vessel to reach that nerve, giving us this unique approach, which essentially is not currently done in this region.
And then to the confirmation system as well.
Yeah.
That in conjunction with the ablation is the sort of foundational pieces. And of course,
Exactly.
the procedure, that kind of stuff.
Along with another. Yeah, let me follow on. Who's actually gonna be the ones to do this? Are you gonna look for the cardiologists or the electrophysiologists? Where's your focus and how are you gonna get them to accept something which I don't believe, from what I've read, is accepted as the way to cure HF through nerve ablation?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So we've involved cardiologists from interventional cardiology, heart failure cardiology, and electrophysiology. The people that I think would be most interested right off the bat would be interventional cardiology, but we're obviously not going to shut the door on other folks. They follow the data. So the reason why there's initial interest in joining our studies and even investment from some folks is the initial data out there. Naturally, once you get the robust data set is when they're going to see the adoption. And then the other aspect being, ease of use of the device. The better the device with the most functions that makes it most easy to use that's what makes it in the cath lab.
So you're gonna go after the medical schools to try to teach them, because the older doctors, they get set in their ways. So I'm looking at you guys, you're young guys. I would probably go after people who look like me, not me, but you.
Hey,
So
well,
because I think those would be more prone to take a look at new technologies to help cure a problem than the older doctors that have been around for a while.
yeah, no, and that's a good point because interventional and structural cardiology is saturated. All the you only need like 2 or 3 TAVR cardiologists per major center. So UCSF is not hiring any more structural cardiologists. So these new guys that are being trained, the younger guys, are looking for new procedures to build in. They're pretty hungry to find new things to do and to differentiate themselves, brand themselves. And that's another reason we see a lot of interest.
Yeah, it's nice to be a patient and have people try things on you, but go play something we have no with. And as long as you're up there, we might as well do this.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Good idea.
Hey, you, online? Go ahead, you.
I'm trying to understand now, are you associating heart failure with arrhythmias? Is it, I'm trying to understand how this differs from Farapulse and things that deal with ablation in terms of elimination of the nerve.
Right. No, that's a good point. So ablation for Farapulse and AFib is ablation of cardiac tissue in the chambers itself.
Right.
Our nerve is outside of the heart. There is an an extra cardiac effect associated with this nerve. So it's a totally new paradigm in a way that's being readily accepted because of ease of use of technology. So it will not clash with AFib, right? So yeah, just to point out the heart being, kind of shadowed up there AFib and all that stuff takes place up there. AFib ablations and Farapulse takes place up in the cardiac, in the heart. We are away from the heart and ends up being much safer because you don't risk cardiac perfs and things like that. Perforations, excuse me. You don't risk perforation. Yeah.
And the symptoms that are you're treating in comparison to the Farapulse crowd?
Yeah, so AFib being an entirely different disease pathway. I mean, those folks deal with palpitations and can develop heart failure as a result of this stuff, but really fatigue in general. And sometimes these things coincide, but really, if you treat AFib as an independent entity, the whole point there is to normalize heart rhythm. Our thing is looking at not at rhythm at all. We're looking at pressure improvement. So basic idea being that heart failure, when the pump can't pump forward, pressure backs up backwards. And so this is sort of the first treatment that's actually aimed at relieving that pressure in all chambers of the heart.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Of course.
Laura. So while you're doing this, what if this fails, or what's the rate of failure? What happens to a patient that they're in the procedure, it doesn't come out right? What happens there?
And what we've seen with some of the other studies where the patients were treated and they weren't treated effectively, their heart failure symptoms just come back. And so they're just not treated fully to actually mitigate the disease, like most treatments. That in case they were not, that's why we want to have the confirmation to make sure that they are treated correctly, to make sure that nerve cell is removed before we discharge them.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry.
What are the side effects, and what are the potential downside of this treatment?
No, absolutely. So fortunately, historically, this nerve was removed because it carries pain fibers for patients with pancreatic cancer and chronic pancreatitis. So it was done previously for a different subset of patients with an invasive surgery. You can't do that surgery in heart failure patients, but what we learned is that the patients have minimal side effect profile, maybe 2 to 3% just had blood pressure improve, or hypotension, lowering their blood pressure that was asymptomatic. So we like that in cardiac patients. We want their blood pressure to go lower. And that might be one of the reasons why there's better outcomes in heart failure patients that we're seeing up front.
Okay. So build on what you just said there. If you can use the same tool, being less invasive for the pancreatic side of treatment, can you go dual path when you on your go to market?
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely. We have multiple indications that we're looking at in terms of pancreatic cancer pain, gastromotility, hypertension, et cetera. But heart failure is where we want to start to really drive that, because that's the biggest unmet need in the space.
And when you get the total system that when you sort of lay out all the different domains, you're looking at FDA, CMS, reimbursement, all that stuff. You want to start with the aspect that'll be highest reimbursed, right? Otherwise, you're going to get anchored lower. Heart failure is going to be highest reimbursed.
And I have one more question. You have a slide with different tools that you have for different stages of heart failure. So I wasn't quite sure, like, which one are you on right now, and are those just for down the roadmap?
Are you referring to about the valvular therapy slide?
Yes.
Yeah, the shunt, and then there was another one.
Yeah. So sorry. Well, Tyler shares that. Would you mind repeating your question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I was just wondering, like, are these you're gonna develop later? Is this other, or I want to understand what this means.
Oh, yeah, this is more of a competitive landscape slide. In other words, the key piece is that worsening heart failure is the biggest slice of patients that truly have that unmet need. And these other therapies aren't there to help patients. And so when a physician thinks about, or cardiologist thinking about, when do I help these patients? When am I actually going to refer them to device? They're usually captured in this treatment gap phase. That's where they usually fall. So a lot of the times, the patients aren't eligible for the intra-atrial shunts, or fortunately, aren't sick enough for these valve diseases. A lot of times we have to wait for them to get sick to do anything. So If you can offer somebody something in this gap, you will more than likely be first line, which is what we're aiming for.
Are we all good? We all good?
No, I'm going
Oh,
back.
Sylvia, go ahead.
Is the device frozen or you still need to work on it?
Could you repeat that, please? It's a little soft.
I was asking if the device is now frozen or it just still changing.
Fair question. So our plan is that we have one other chronic study coming up the next few months that will, once that's successful, that will go to design freeze into V&V. So we do believe we will be at freeze after that study.
And when are you starting the first in humans?
Our plan is to start it in Q3 of next year. We've already had discussions with the sites, essentially with some of the users, making sure that's all in line, and this race will get us prepared for that for Q3.
Thank you.
No problem.
Did you cover your valuation?
Yes, we are raising at an $8 million post-money valuation on a safe note.
Okay. I think we're at about time. Thank you so much for coming
Thank y'all.
by. One of us will get back to you within the next day or two.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Pleasure, y'all. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, letting in Reva from Savories.
Okay. Yeah. Next.
Hi, Reva, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Reva.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I am great. So just like a pre-screening, you have 12 minutes for a presentation, 12 minutes for Q&A.
Okay.
I think you're good to go. Cover the valuation if it's not on your slide.
Okay. Okay. Are you seeing full screen?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Good morning. Have you ever watched what happens when someone is put on a soft diet? Their world changes. Fear, embarrassment, frustration, and isolation creep in. They lose weight and disconnect from the world. My name is Dr. Reva Bearwall. I'm a prosthodontist, a researcher, and a culinary chef. I've spent decades helping people regain their ability to chew, but when they have a swallowing disorder, they're put on puree and shakes just to keep them alive. And there are no safe foods to chew anymore. Initially, I created Savories for my patients. It's a life sciences company pioneering the first solid supplement platform for swallowing disorders, with products that safely gives them the feel and joy of solid food again. And the biggest differentiator we have is our food stimulates functional movement that supports recovery of the swallow. This is a $15 to $20 billion healthcare problem hiding in plain sight. Swallowing difficulty. It's called dysphagia, and it affects over 15 million Americans and nearly 500 million people globally. These numbers show you why it's so high. It's in common conditions that we all know here. Almost 100% in Parkinson's disease and traumatic brain injury get this condition. And up to 50% of your hospital beds are occupied by patients on soft diets. The costs are staggering too, $197 billion in healthcare expenses because the risks are high for rehospitalizations, longer stays, and more medical issues. This is a hidden but massive problem. And you can probably imagine what the emotional toll is like. Patients on puree lose dignity with being spoon-fed what looks like baby food. All 5 senses are dulled, the texture is flat, the taste is bland, and there's no sound. You can't touch it with your fingers. Many honestly would take the risk of choking by eating unsafe foods just to feel their food again. And the current solutions, well, you have thickeners, so you can drink a thick cup of coffee or a thick glass of water. And this was thought to be safer, but now that's not shown, is being shown not to be true. Puddings and shakes give calories, but don't give enough sensory signals in the mouth to get a good swallow. And also, purees are bland, low sensation, frankly, really unappetizing. Billions are spent on this annually with products that fail at recovery. Savories has crispy melts. This is a therapeutic supplement that looks and tastes like real food and dissolves safely to puree. There's more taste and flavor and more sound in each bite. But even better, it stimulates the brain and throat to light a spark in swallowing again and accelerate recovery. People love it and they're getting better. We're the only company right now with a validated dissolvable solid that fits these new tightening global safety standards that every facility is scrambling to adopt. Our closest comparables are sweetened puddings, ice creams, or unvalidated, poorly dissolving desserts. In Japan, there's a sensory tool called training jelly, but it's not validated for puree. Neither is the Eat Bar that I'm showing here. None of them have a functional texture that gives a high sensory experience and can prime the swallow to support recovery at the earliest time possible. Baby first finger foods has been brought up as a question, but they don't dissolve predictably and safely for this population. And this is a growing, aging population, and it's making the moment to own the solid supplement category really important. The global market for medically tailored nutrition is $21.2 billion. Our obtainable market, based on current product lines, our existing distribution and targeted channels, is $99 million over the next 5 years by taking in less than 5% of US facilities in our target. I want to mention that we've had inbound interest from Nestle Health Science. It's the largest food company in the world with an entire dysphagia division. This SOM doesn't include also adjacent verticals like pediatrics, oncology, or bariatrics, each offering 9-figure upside. So I often get the question, aren't supplements just for calories and protein? And the answer is traditionally yes. Liquid supplements have defined this space for decades. But that model is really breaking. In hospitals, as you see here, they're stacking up by the bed and go straight into the trash. We built the first solid supplement to move nutrition from calorie counting to functional recovery. Foods that stimulate the oral phase and help patients regain their ability to eat. What's powerful is that Savory's isn't a one product story. It's built on a platform we call Sensorial Precision Nutrition, a system that combines our functional texture design, IP, with the OroSync mechanism to accelerate recovery safely. This is the foundation for multiple product lines, new SKUs, and future acquisitions. We're already embedded into provider workflows, and that infrastructure scales as the platform expands. On the IP side, we've built protection in layers. First, we have an issued US utility patent with broad composition and functional performance claims, meaning anyone who tries to mimic the texture dissolution mechanism will hit our claims. Then we filed a second patent immediately on the process, which blocks design arounds. So even if a company like Nestle or Abbott Lab tried to recreate the effect, they'd have to license our method. We're expanding that with pending IP on new prototypes for progressive chew stages, which will position us for pediatric, geriatric, and neuro rehab applications. So beyond the patents, we have applied trademarks, like I mentioned, Sensorial Precision Nutrition, OroSync, and Savory's, and strong trade secrets in formulation and production. But IP alone in medical nutrition is not the only moat. You need evidence. And we've completed 5 published clinical trials. We have 2 in manuscript and 2 ongoing randomized clinical studies at Cleveland Clinic and NYU Langone. We are creating frameworks for use that define how to maximize the effect of this new category. Together, that forms a moat that's legal, scientific, and operational, and builds a dossier that global acquirers like Nestle are looking for scaling internationally. So I've led product development, clinical validation, and early commercialization. I now work full-time. I sold my thriving practice because of the response from potential acquirers that I was in conversation with, providers, and customers. I've built a lean internal team supported by Elias as ops engineer, Doug as fractional CFO, Andrew in CRM and sales, and Natalie in brand building. We're really capital efficient and right sized for this stage. And this round is to fund scaled growth with hires built into the plan. So I want to mention my advisors are amazing. They're hands-on partners meeting weekly or bi-weekly. They provide introductions to investors, customers, and partners. marketing and finance strategy, and payer roadmaps. They're really invaluable and very seasoned in this space. In our go-to-market business model, we've priced our solid supplement for easy budget justification to just penetrate this market. So in B2B, demand has been consistent. As one patient discharges, another enters with dysphagia. Crispy Melts is first stocked on the floor. Then I see it being embedded into ordering software as a supplement from the kitchen, then included in therapy sessions. And we're getting into this adoption depth, which is a growth driver. So through my product market fit testing, I know there's 3 tiers of use now. Tier 1 is just trial. Tier 2 is therapy only, and Tier 3 is therapy and food service together. And so we also have early pilots that show at Tier 3, you get the greatest acceleration of recovery, and this is where the platform comes in. As far as hospital budgets, we're reducing food waste plus lowering malnutrition risk. With a conservative 5% reduction in malnutrition prevalence, this will save roughly $500 per patient episode. So for less than $4 a day per patient, hospitals can see a 30x return. We've already established e-commerce and retail for hospital to home model, which is a second channel that boosts margins and expands continuity of care. So as far as traction, we have early traction with paying customers from 12 leading hospitals, including Cleveland Clinic, and a signed contract with Encompass Health that runs 200 hospitals across the country. We now have growing repeat institutional orders and system progression. Cleveland Clinic lists Savory's now as the standard of practice. Encompass Health is engaged at the network level. Parkview Health is the largest in northern Indiana. It's the largest health system, and they're expanding now from therapy only, like I said, into the system for nutrition workflows. And so when Cleveland Clinic, as an example, moves from Tier 1 to Tier 3 in the whole system, it represents $250K per year account, and we're beginning to make that happen. But what I want to share is that these relationships came to me. There was no outbound marketing at all, other than me speaking as a leader in dysphagia food texture and gaining that word of mouth. So this year, we're entering the care cycle right where dysphagia recovery is critical. These are inpatient rehab facilities where you have a high fit and strong ROI. We later expand to rehab-focused skilled nursing facilities and life plan communities, where places where dysphagia is high, and we become a discharge solution. In 2028, we're unlocking bigger systems like the VA hospital, state hospitals, and home health, and payer reimbursement kicks in for long-tailed D2C revenue. And by the way, all of these health systems have already been approaching me. In 2029, we're going to hit full scale, D2C, retail, national group partnerships, but with clinical trust already established. And these don't include other verticals as well as international global interests that we've experienced. So in 2025 to 2027, our proof of adoption years, we have single site traction right now, workflow integration and reimbursement groundwork. So with our first national system contract signed, we're looking at full network activation by 2028. We are learning at Cleveland Clinic and Parkview Health how to work with large systems too. So I feel that 2028 marks that shift from pilots to system-wide adoption, corporate contracts that instantly multiply. So Savory sits exactly in the white space these medical nutrition leaders are trying to fill, bridging pure nutrition and functional oral recovery. Nestle Health Science, Abbott, Danone Nutricia's division are actively consolidating high-margin therapeutic foods with recent acquisitions like Fade Genesis, Real Food Blends, and Spoonful One. Our category, solid supplements, fits directly into their clinical and aging portfolios. At today's valuation, even a floor exit gives 6 to 10x, mid-tier 20 to 25x, and ceiling 100x. So we're raising right now a $2 million seed round to fund 18 months of focused execution. This capital will fund our transition from pilot-driven traction to repeatable sales and allows us to build the bridge to institutional scale. This is on a safe note, but we're open to convertibles. And so here you can see what our plan is to set the flywheel in motion from inpatient hospital all the way to outpatient and home health, creating that sustainable growth. I just want to share one final story where, a sales manager told me that he took product to his aunt, and this experience is what we're hearing over and over again. It's 100% satisfaction for this patient. She's eating for the first time by herself in 3 months. And her husband, the caregiver, was crying tears of joy when they were finished. And I hope I've shared some exciting information with you today, and that you would be wanting to join me for this acquisition-ready platform with enormous clinical, emotional, and commercial value. Thank you.
Wow, you did a great job.
Thank you.
We're ready. I'll start this way down. George.
So, Reba, I've seen you at Sand Hill and they love you there.
Oh,
So
thank
I think this is a really interesting proposition. Why haven't the Nestle's or the Abbotts been in this space? And is there any competitive IP that could potentially encroach on you?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Nestle acquired Gerber, so they have those dissolvable solids in their mix. But the way that they're manufactured, it doesn't make it safe for this population. So it doesn't follow the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative, which is called IDDSI. And we, honestly, when you talk to a Nestle, or I've talked to Hormel Health Lab, which is acquired by Lion recently. I've talked to multiple in Japan. Ajinomoto just recently, last month, reached out to me. So the issue is that this is really hard to do. Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. The food scientists that worked on this with me said it was the hardest thing they've done in 30 years. So it's much easier for Nestle to have a company go through this part where we're figuring out the regulatory, we're figuring out the how to produce at scale, we're doing all of the studies which create savories as a gold standard. Then they can take it global. So they've already talked to me about the regulatory work they do with liquids, powders, and then this would be a new category that I could present like a gift, and then they just work on that.
Great, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna go with someone that haven't questioned. Matt.
Can you tell us the shelf life, and also if the bag is open, how long does it stay crunchy?
Yeah, excellent question. So the shelf life is 1 year from the date of manufacture. It has a resealable opening. What they do in clinic is, let's just say they were using it in an outpatient style. So I have several outpatient customers. They date the bag, they reseal it, it's good for 30 days.
If the bag is just open, how long does it last before it loses its crunch?
I mean, as far as it's basically a couple of days, you could have it out, but you would want to reseal it, just like you have a bag of kale chips or any kind of other dehydrated product. It has that resealable element, and we instruct people to reseal the bag to maintain freshness. Now, the question is really safety. So if you leave that bag open, is it still safe? And the answer is yes. So you would lose that acoustic quality of the crunch, but you wouldn't lose the safety profile.
Your manufacturing, are you ready to scale up when the time comes? And where are you manufacturing it?
Yes, with our last round, we obtained a manufacturing facility that is independent and completely under the control of Savories. And we have done capacity analysis, so we are good for that facility until Series A.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm going.
Sorry, maybe one more question, Pat. Your margin is very low now. That's expected from a food industry. Can you? I mean, there's a big bump in 2027. What's happening there? Because your margin 50% for food industry is really good. I wonder what's the magic there.
Yes, absolutely. So there are a few things at play. So I can break it down. One is, of course, operational efficiency at scale. When you're looking at your ingredients, we're also looking at a co-manufacturer. when we get into large scale production, we would have a split where we have some in the manufacturing facility and some in a co-manufacturing facility. That can reduce our cost as well. We also have SKUs, and so these SKUs are expanding. So we have 9 SKUs potential to grow this precision sensorial precision nutrition and functional texture design. We also have other SKUs that I've created already in dips and in soups to create an entire meal. So once we look at that as revenue generation. You're in that facility, you can offer them more options. And also there's duplication effects. So those SKUs don't change the ingredients or the process significantly, right? These are minor changes that create big impacts in physiology. And so for that reason, we get more ingredients that are not 100 ingredients. We're still sticking to that narrow amount, but higher volumes.
Okay, James online?
Thank you for your excellent presentation. I
Thank
very
you.
much enjoyed it. A couple of very quick questions. I assume your go-to-market is a B2B model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not B2C. And then can you talk about specific verticals in terms of patients? Is it dementia and Alzheimer's? Is it Parkinson's? Is it all the above? Or are you targeting the specific verticals in terms of
Yeah,
patients?
that's an excellent question. So I am targeting for our go-to-market because, when I started this company, everyone from every single vertical is coming to me, right? ALS, dementia, stroke. And so
MS. Yeah.
what we're looking at is we want to help everyone, but where do we focus? And so that, to be honest, I see real high potential in your stroke, traumatic brain injury, and neuro recovery patients. And that follows really well with this OraSync, neuro rehab using this functional texture for sensory motor stimulation. Now, the second piece is the other vertical is people who are declining, right? Like dementia, ALS, Alzheimer's, huge populations. This works like a ladder going the other direction. So if you capture them early with these products, you can help stimulate and continually neurostimulate that swallow reflex, thereby
Okay.
slowing down that decline.
Yeah.
Pediatrics is pediatric feeding disorder, and we have an entire line of pediatrics that I didn't mention.
Yeah, so I think it'd be good to segment that a little bit because it's obviously a huge market. And I think
Yeah.
your answer just now demonstrates that you understand the nuance within that market and have some priorities, because otherwise that all the above strategy is gonna drive you
Yeah,
crazy,
I
running all over
definitely,
the place.
exactly.
And then the final question is, tell me about the nutritional value of this. Is it just a non-nutritional snack food, or is it cover some percentage of daily calorie intake, or tell me about how healthy it might be?
Yeah. So, great question again. So in this population, what the data shows is that, most of them are calorie deficit by about 40% a day. And so there's a real problem because there's no food in food not eaten. So you can't just keep on giving them liquid supplements. They won't take them. So what we have is a product that is plant-based. So it's the first plant-based product. And so it's actually got probiotics in it too. It's 130 calories and 3 grams of protein per serving. So in and of itself, it's more calorie dense than any baby meltable on the market. So you got to look at the category of a foam and air featherweight foam and what you can pack into it. But what the other benefit is people are eating more of their main meal. So you're getting less plate waste. And because it pairs so beautifully with those liquids that are quite unpalatable, they're drinking more of their liquid. So you get this second tier effect from a nutrition. That's why it's a solid supplement where it's closing that calorie gap in a very novel way.
Okay, thank you. Those are great answers. My background's in the food business, so if you want to connect offline, but I've taken up a lot of the question time, so I appreciate that.
Thanks, James. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, well, in terms of the ingredients, how does this address dietary restrictions? I mean, people who are sick usually have a variety of dietary issues, and how does this work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, so when we look at complex medical patients, they tend to have a lot of other restrictions other than dysphagia and texture modification. And I took that into consideration. So we don't have any of the top 9 allergens in our product. We also are reduced sodium and we fit within low glycemic diets. So we're the only product that doesn't have any added sugar. So you see that as I see that as a real benefit when they're being loaded up with sugar with these liquid supplements and applesauce and puddings. But to be honest, it fits into renal diets. We're low phosphate and low potassium. And basically, in a sense, we fit so many different categories. We don't have any gluten. And so this is really helpful with kids that have these multiple dietary restrictions, but it creates versatility in the hospital for adults. You know, they have it in the system when they put it in the software. And you know, unless you're allergic to carrots, you know, it's really hard to find a true allergy to this product. And also, you know, we fit into multiple restricted diets overall.
And what are the chances of this eventually becoming an over-the-counter product?
Yes, so we do have purchases on Amazon. We have it on our e-commerce platform. So we set that up. I actually set that up during COVID to support patients when they weren't going to the hospital, and there was no opportunity. I honestly think this part of my strategy. So yesterday I was in conversation with Medicaid for reimbursement strategy. Barbara Brashon, she was the previous state representative for Medicaid in Ohio, so she has a lot of connections there. I think the retail is going to pair really well with discharge planning and increasing that home health push and DME. And access could then very much so happen. And right now, honestly, we're doing a test in a grocery chain in 11 stores in Oregon.
Thank you. Okay, I'm dying, just quick question.
Okay.
How does it taste?
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be kind of hard. We use a sample.
well, I can tell you it was made by a culinary chef, and with my training, I kind of put myself in the position of my patients, and I was like, I need to eat something that I would want to eat myself. And I can tell you when we have a booth at a conference, we have lineups at our booth. Like we have booth envy from other people just because people love the taste. And what's really heartbreaking in a way and compelling is that dietitians and swallow therapists say, I would eat that too. This is something I would eat, which implies that they wouldn't eat the food that they're giving their patients. I focused on flavors that are American favorites, like popcorn flavor and the Cheez-It cracker kind of flavor, completely missing from their diet. I have one urban spice, which is really umami flavored. For those that are getting no taste from their foods, it really amps up the flavor. And we have, plenty of other flavors in our pipeline right now.
Okay, I'm going online. Phil.
Yes, you said you had no randomized tests. What is your most solid test that this stuff really works?
So we have 3 published clinical trials. The latest one was from Weill Cornell. And these are studies to show what's the pattern of this product in the mouth and in the swallow. And it showed that there were no aspiration events. So nothing went into the lungs. And believe it or not, the puree did go into the lungs. So this is actually safer than puree. We're showing that we're getting better swallow patterns with this product versus puree. So this is across multiple studies. I think that the one that I find most compelling is the fact that one hospital took really medically complex patients and they just did the standard nutrition therapy plan. Then they put them on savories only in therapy, and then they put them on savories in therapy and in nutrition. So there's 3 groupings. And the ones that did the best were the ones that had savories offered to them during therapy sessions daily and on their menu. And they actually accelerated their recovery. So they got them to catch up to people that were less sick, right? And right now there's 2 randomized clinical trials happening, one at NYU in pediatrics and one in Cleveland Clinic, because they believe it's a standard of care for diagnosis, which I didn't share, but it's helping therapists understand better the swallow patterns and understand treatment.
And one more quick question. If we go to due diligence, can we get some of this stuff?
Yes, but I'm going to have to do a sensory education exercise with you too. So you can kind of envision yourself with on a liquid diet or a puree diet. And then it's really fun to kind of see how it wakes your palate. So happy to do that.
That's it, Pat.
It doesn't sound like something you probably want to do, but yeah.
Okay, Reba, one last question. How much of the 2 million do you have left?
So I
How
have
much
I have 1.5.
You still have 1.5 to
Yeah.
raise? Okay, thank you. And thank you for opening such a helpful category for people that are losing joy of, taste.
Thank you.
And being able to eat. I mean, this is really exciting. And great job today. One of us will get back to you in the next day or 2.
Okay, thank you so much, Pat, and thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next we have Jill.
Hello.
Hey, Sinan.
Good morning, Sinan.
Good morning.
Welcome to TCA. You have 12 minutes for presentation, 12 minutes for Q&A, just like pre-screening. Spell your deal turn at the end if it's not on your deck. And the floor is yours.
Am I good to start then?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, angels. My name is Sinan, and I am the founder and CEO of GelTech Labs. And I'm excited to share my journey, how I went from a cancer researcher to building a lab automation company. And when I was 18 years old, I immigrated to the US from Istanbul, Turkey. And unfortunately, at the time, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. So I spent my college years in laboratories at UC San Diego, Harvard Medical School, and an enterprise company in Europe, working on making cancer treatments safer using materials called hydrogels. Essentially, the materials we were working on enable targeted drug release in the body. While traditionally only 1% of chemotherapy drugs will attack the tumor, hydrogels offered an alternative that enables a more targeted approach. And it's safe to say I became infatuated with these revolutionary materials, which beyond cancer treatments are actually seen everywhere in our lives. They're the backbone of treatments for arthritis, diabetes, wound care products, where blood is able to pass through the wound care product if it's a hydrogel. All these modern eye patches and face masks, every single diaper, every single soft contact lens are all made of hydrogels. So they're truly seen everywhere in our lives. And of course, my experience is mostly in the clinical space, which is the largest market segment here, and also where our company's mostly motivation and my personal motivation lies. Unfortunately, however, during my time in this segment, I realized that it costs close to $1 billion and a decade to develop one of these materials, which is far too long to wait for a better treatment for your loved one. And if we break down this problem, as a scientist and engineer, I realized that a majority of the problem was in manual testing. Because these materials aren't exactly solid, aren't exactly liquid, other lab automation and lab equipment companies haven't built any equipment specifically for these materials, which means that scientists rely on a lot of manual testing to develop these types of products. As a scientist, I found myself in a laboratory repeating the same tests every single day. And my motivation towards curing cancer turned to a frustration when I saw me and my other peers stuck in this constant loop of test iteration. I felt like a robot. So I said, you know what? I'm going to build one. And that's exactly what we did. And a few years later, this robot has transformed into our product, Carousel, which works 10 times faster. Sorry, it's 10 times cheaper and 6 times faster than a manual method of conducting these tests. And this is far from just an idea. We have filed 2 provisional patents, and we have secured validation data for our device against manual testing. And speaking of which, manual testing is actually our competition here. Because while lab automation and lab robotics is a huge industry, no lab automation company has made a device specifically for hydrogels. And that's where we come in, replacing this manual test you see on the left with our instrument Carousel. And our business model, our offering to our customers is similar to a razor blade model where we sell an instrument, generate recurring revenue from consumables. So each test that is run would require a new consumable. And this process on the left that I was repeating endlessly in the lab as a scientist, as it turns out, I wasn't alone in this frustration. Because there are around 100,000 laboratories in the world doing these tests manually. Talking about labs in diapers, agriculture, cosmetics, even in oil and gas, sealants, sustainability. There's so many different applications out there for hydrogels where labs are doing manual testing. And right now is a great time to be in the hydrogel industry because it's truly a hot topic in science and engineering, and we see more and more hydrogel products reaching the market every single day. And notably, we've seen very large investments from companies like J&J, Lilly, and Novartis, who have lots of hydrogel products in their pipeline and on the market. And these companies are now moving to US facilities in response to tariffs. Why is this big news for us? Well, since they're moving to the US, they will rely on US labor, which is expensive, and US equipment to evade tariffs. So a US automation company like us can save these companies millions of dollars over their next years of investment. And that's exactly what we plan on doing. We've put together a great team. I have experience as a hydrogel scientist and engineer at Harvard, UC San Diego, and Acıbadem, which is a European enterprise company that treats 5 million patients a year. I've also been awarded by the NSF for validating the market around this technology. And our CTO, Sungkwan, has 15 years of experience as a CTO and has commercialized 4 biomedical instruments like ours in the past. We're joined by a great full-time team, and our software engineer, James, even has a small exit under his belt when he was just 19 years old. But if we're speaking of exits, our advisory board has a combined 16, and they have a great diverse expertise in both startups, enterprise companies, in the technical aspects of hydrogels, and in building lab instruments as well. Our journey started in 2023, where I built a proof of concept prototype that saved weeks of testing time for my lab. I then went door to door in San Diego, trying to get in touch with scientists, knocking on labs, putting together data, and understanding the market around this technology. And then we received a $150,000 grant from UC San Diego, and they continued to support us, got accepted into Johnson & Johnson's JLabs program. And this year we've raised $650,000 from angels, filed 2 patents, and we're preparing for a pilot program with a great array of companies and academic institutions. We plan to raise 3 rounds over the coming years, and our end goal is to reach a strategic acquisition. And similar to other lab equipment companies that have achieved similar exits, we are looking to put out around 3 products. So once our engineering team is done building Carousel, which is where 100% of their focus is right now, we will give them their next device to work on. In terms of how we're going to get there, this starts by targeting the right customers. So in our industry, the KOLs are the academic labs and the professors. Thankfully, we're strongly positioned at UC San Diego and Harvard Medical School, as well as relationships with Stanford that can leverage to get the data and influence we need and the validation we need to eventually sell into the big pharma and enterprise companies. And of course, to secure an acquisition, securing one of those big clients is key because the acquirers will want the business of those big pharma companies. Most importantly here, we need to become the leader of the hydrogel testing market. Currently, there is no leader or even any large players in this space. So we hope to become the leading player of this category. As you know, both customers and acquirers want to buy from a category leader. We're already working on that moat with a strong IP portfolio that we're building. And we hope to get into strategic joint marketing efforts and partnerships with large corporate companies that I'm going to mention in the next slide, as this will be the first steps towards getting towards an acquisition. And the types of acquirers we're looking for are companies like Thermo Fisher, Danaher, PerkinElmer, Agilent. As you see here, these are huge companies and whose main strategy is actually to diversify through M&A. And notably, we have even just this year, I've noted a 50 million and a 900 million exit. We are looking to exit between 100 to 250 million. And notably, Discover Echo is actually a San Diego-based company, and they were actually one of TCA's early investments. And their founder and CEO, Eugene, is on our advisory board and personally coaching me through my journey as a CEO as well. Currently, we're raising $850,000, and we've secured $650,000 of it. So we're seeking a remaining $200,000, and this will get us our first 10 units out in the market. And most of this fund will be used towards product development, but we have money reserved for marketing and sales and G&A as well. Angels, I thank you very much for listening, and I hope we can work together to help the 100,000 hydrogel labs in the world build a better future of healthcare for our loved ones. Thank you.
Matt,
Can you tell me what the carousel does? I mean, does it just hold, do you put two chemicals together and hold it at temperature? Does it shake the product? What is the test? A little bit more detail about what the test is.
Of course. So you would put the hydrogel product into the carousel, and then the carousel essentially simulates its behavior in whatever environment, whether it's in a bodily environment or on the skin or wherever, and essentially monitors how it expands, releases any product inside of it, and then degrades. So all of these different hydrogel products I listed all rely on hydrogel swelling and then degrading, breaking apart. So our instrument autonomously monitors the hydrogels for that behavior. And it tests 6 hydrogels simultaneously and 24/7. So it can indefinitely test the materials. Some applications require 100 hours of testing, sometimes even 1,000. So our instrument automates that whole process.
Thank you.
David?
Yeah, follow on from Ed's question. What is the essence of your IP and where is the strength in that IP?
Yeah, so first of all, I should mention that we own 100% of our IP. So none of these academic institutions have any stake in that. But our IP is in both the method of automating these tests, our consumable that is used and designed specifically for hydrogels, as well as the design of the device. And in addition to this, we have also, over the past few years of my work in this field, we've identified around 4 alternative embodiments. So 4 alternative ways you can automate these tests. And we're covering all of those within the 2 patents we have.
And a different question, but talk to me, I thought your go-to-market strategy, the one you put up, was very academic. It basically is very high level. Talk to me about how you're going to get sales, distribution, who on your team is going to do that, how are you going to use your board of advisors. But it just seems to be there versus thoughtfully thought out. No offense.
Okay. So I can kind of dive into what we're working on that end. So firstly, we're working with Seifert Lab at UC San Diego right now. And we're also working with two companies, Polymer Science and Ecovia Bio. So we have one drug delivery, one wound healing, and then another kind of general use hydrogel. And we essentially have all these different companies in this pipeline where we get their samples and then we test them internally, present them the data, and then when they're interested, they can demo an instrument and eventually get towards a sale. So
Who's doing the sales?
So
who on your team is doing that? Is that you or somebody else? You can hire a third party?
yeah, right now I'm doing all of it. And I can say our plan is to hire somebody who's going to lead the commercialization effort right now. But right now we have more customers than we do have instruments to give. So we barely have the capability of serving all of these different people who are interested in the instrument right now, because we only.
So are you going to use your the amount of money that you're asking for building more instruments, or building out your sales team, or what's the sequence?
Yeah, building out instruments and hiring a sales manager as well. That'll be a big milestone. I think, you know, I've been able to find companies and find, you know, the innovators and the early adopters, but to flesh out a whole, you know, marketing strategy, we will hire someone for that. Yeah.
Build on that, you're talking to a lot of investors, potentially VCs. Any of them that are investing in hydrogel companies would kill for a 7x go-to-market advantage. So you might consider going to some VCs and asking that are in the hydrogel space. And, you know, again, time is money. They would love to have a 7x advantage. And that would be a free distributor for you.
Great advice. Thank you.
What's the cost of one of the instruments?
Cost is, we're looking at around 10 to 12K.
And what's the cost of the consumables later on?
Yeah, the consumable is around 50 cents and we can sell them for around $4 to $5. We're expecting. So high margins on the instrument and very high margins on the consumable.
Go ahead, Paul. Your instrument carousel seems like a fairly complex analytical instrument. Who on your team you have today and had in the past that have developed this and will help you commercialize it? How big is that?
So first of all, our advisors, Eugene, Michael, Mehmet, have all worked at capital equipment and actually sold capital equipment companies. And on our team, Sung Kwan, our CTO, he has 15 years of experience as a CTO building laboratory instruments and commercializing them. So I lean on him to lead the development effort for this instrument.
So it seems like you have three technical people who developed this technology. Is that correct?
So to be completely honest, until about 5 or 6 months ago, it was just me on the team. So I kind of came up with the design and the concept for this instrument. And then once I raised some money, I hired a team who can build it and bring it to market. And you know, and me and Lou work together to essentially communicate with customers, and you know, just kind of feed what they are saying to us, to our engineering team, and they kind of build what we channel from our customers. Yeah.
And do you have any feedback on the accuracy of what your instrument can do?
Yeah, so for us, more than accuracy, it's the repeatability of testing. It's the standardization, and we're still working on generating all the data for that, but we estimate at least 5 times repeatability compared to literature where there's so much different data between, you know, different scientists doing the same test. You know, if I do one test manually and then If my peer does the same test manually, it's going to look a bit different, unfortunately. So we're working on that standardized version of it.
Thanks.
I think.
Phil, go ahead, Phil.
I'm trying to figure out what you're testing for. It's in diapers, agriculture, contact lenses. What are you testing?
Great question. So we're testing for the swelling and degradation rate, as well as any release from the material. And these properties are seen in all of the materials that are used in all of these industries. So in agriculture, for example, you mentioned that's the ability of the gel to uptake liquid from the soil and then release liquid into the soil. In diapers, it's how it absorbs urine and then how it stays intact. It doesn't break apart. And then if that diaper is tossed into the environment, how is it degrading in the environment? Is it damaging the environment? So those are the types of properties we're testing for.
Yeah.
So who is your customer?
So our customers are laboratories. And so, for example, here we have Senwell Care, that they develop cosmetics. Amen Surgical develops biosurgery. BSG also cosmetics. Ecovia is drug delivery laboratory. Polymer Science develops wound care products. Seifert Labs, an academic laboratory, and Stanford is also an academic laboratory. So we're starting with academics for the most part, academic laboratories, because they're very willing to try out newer, unproven technologies, and the industry wants to follow once they have more validation.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, so in the manufacturing process, do they still test the hydrogel, or once it's proven, they just mass produce? I'm trying to see where you fit. Are you only at the early stage?
Right. So we would be in the R&D and the quality control stages. And our vision is to start with R&D so that we can prove out our instrument, and then eventually move into quality control spaces where companies may be willing to buy 5 or 10 units of carousel to keep up with their throughput. And also in this kind of clinical environment, often R&D and quality control are done in tandem. So during clinical trials, they're both researching their material and they're making sure the quality of the material will adhere with, if it's going to go into an animal or a human, they need to do research and quality at the same time. So in the clinical setting, both even while the product is being developed and after the product has hit the market, there's always quality testing that needs to be done.
So that's a lot of different labs and different industry, right? So how are you gonna get into all these different verticals with one product that is you can't focus on one vertical because you have so many different areas. So how do you go to market? How do you get access to all these clients and customers?
So like I said, we start with academic laboratories to generate the data and validation we need. That's our first go-to customers. And specifically, we're targeting younger professors who have that startup budget from the university. And then moving forward, looking at medium-sized companies who can willing to follow on. And then eventually, once we have that more of that data, looking to get deeper into enterprise companies. And if we can secure 1 or 2 enterprise accounts, they can purchase 20, 30, and 40 instruments for the amount of laboratories and testing that they have within one company. So I hope that's kind of just taking it one step at a time, and with the eventual goal of getting into an enterprise account.
I would think Eugene in your team would be someone good to tap into with your go-to-market. And the reason I mentioned Eugene is, so it was about maybe 6 years ago. And Eugene Cho, who's on his advisory board, was presenting at Landmark. And I had a guest in the Landmark presentation. At the end of the day, she gave Eugene a check. And I said, you didn't do any due diligence. She says, I like him. 3 years later, she got that payback because Eugene sold the company for $103 million. And I can tell you what the company was. It has this scope, like a lab telescope. And when you put the Petri dish in, you need to have two, because when you want to see it on top, you have this. When you see it from the bottom, you have another telescope. So he combined the two and made the scope can turn 180 degrees, so the Petri dish stays. So you can see the top and the bottom from one, and he sold it for $110 million 3 years later. So my point is, you have the same synergy, because he targeted university, and those scopes were going into the lab.
I want to invest in Gene.
Eugene?
Yeah, I want to invest in him for everything else.
Well, he's in his team. Right now, he's in his advisory team. That's why I recognized it.
Wow.
That's why I say you should dabble into his expertise.
Yeah, Eugene has been a great help support for me, as you know, I'm transitioning from an engineering and scientist into going for more sales-minded person, and transitioning from selling shares of our company to investors to selling instruments. Eugene is honestly amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. He paid his investor back in 3 years. Who has the next question? Matt, you have more question? Go ahead.
You said your main competitors are humans. Are there any other competitors, any other equipment that does something similar? And if there are no competitors, how easy would it be someone to mimic your product?
Yeah, so not that we don't know of any other instrument out there that does what our instrument does, and that's why we've essentially worked on patenting 4 different embodiments of these instruments. So while we're developing this instrument, we're thinking of all the different ways you could possibly automate these tests. Our attorney worked on it, I worked on it, CTO worked on it, advisors worked on it, and we're making that patent as broad as we possibly can, to the point that if someone tries to replicate it, they're going to have a really difficult time, and it'll be very expensive to find a simple and cost-efficient method that can compete with ours.
Another question, it's about the new instruments. So you have people using them in those labs. How many did you deploy, and who manufactured them?
Yeah, so currently we use the instruments internally. So they send us the samples and we do the testing for them. And next year we will begin installing them. So currently we have around seven early customers we're working with who are interested in eventually having an installation. And yeah.
So you have one in your lab.
We have three.
You have 3 cars, and you build them. It's like a custom prototype.
Yeah, our engineering team built them, and we have a contract manufacturer we work with as well, a company called Generate. They specialize in lab instruments, so they give us support where needed. Yeah.
Do you have somebody in mind to be a manufacturer for the future?
Yeah, probably this same company, Generate. And we will likely explore a combination of in-house and contract manufacturing, depending on the part of the instrument.
Okay, we're about time. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yeah, nice job.
Really good job. One of us will get back to you within the next day or 2.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll go to the sponsor. We're done with the company. Barry, you want to start?
Sure. I want to welcome everyone to Westcliff campus. And I want to remind everyone that we have a smart capstone program that's pro bono. We've got about 140 companies that have given us testimonials. They're very happy with what we've been doing for them. Basically, any kind of project that you have, we can handle over an 8-week period or a 16-week period. In fact, we're working with TCA right now on some AI projects. So,
We don't like it, by the way, we don't like it.
Pardon?
I'm just kidding. You've been great, fantastic.
Appreciate it. No, and just contact me if you have any companies, startup companies in particular, who have some projects and without a budget to complete them, we can help out pro bono.
That's amazing, that's great.
JJ and I.
Okay. Next we have Bart. Go ahead, Bart.
Hi, everyone. Bart Greenberg with Pivotal Law Firm. We are a law firm that works primarily with entrepreneurs, startups, emerging technology companies. We help them initially with their organization. If someone else organized them, we work with them on getting them cleaned up, to get them fundable. We then work with our clients typically on their early stage financing, friends and family, organized angels, venture capital, debt financings, and similar types of financing activities. We typically work with them on exits, which tend to be merger and acquisition transactions. And we do a lot of stuff in between, specializing with equity incentives, contract review, and the like. And we appreciate referrals and introductions. Thank you.
Right, I think that's all we have, all the other sponsors are on. So we lost, Straddling didn't pay for a while and they finally just come back. Did you put them back in yet? Yeah, right, so we got Straddling back. Now we're gonna go to our guests. We have two guests here today, Lillian Montes. I want to do a 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's probably right.
And Ramon Montes.
Yes. So first of all, thank you guys for having us today. We really appreciate being able to come in and see all these pitches.
You like the donuts?
Amazing. That was definitely the highlight of my day. So I'm Ray. And Lily. And together we're sibling co-founders of Limon. So Limon is a social travel app for you to share your travel stories and also to eventually monetize them as well through being able to sell bookings from the posts that you're creating on the app. So as a creator, I'm not just posting for fun, I'm posting so I can actually make some money from my experiences as well. Yeah, so where we're at right now, we just launched our MVP and have our first 300 users. So that's just for posting and listening to day trips. So we're actually just on a crowdfunding TV show called Go Fund Yourself. So it's a great way to kickstart that. We fund around. And today, I also want to thank Jeff Curie, even though he's not here, he invited us out to this meeting today. So it's been super valuable to hear all this feedback and pitches and everything. So thank you guys for having us.
Right, so since you, yeah, that's fine, thank you so much and welcome. So a couple of things I want to cover before we go to break. We talked about the fund not having, is hovering about, we did get some injection of fund after we talked about it at the last meeting. So I think now we're gonna be good for another deal and the 3/4, hopefully we'll get to 2 deals if people keep bringing in more funding. So with that, we are not gonna do the evening screening at One Digital, which is our second screening of the month. However, we have a face-to-face with investor on October 29th, and we need investor participation because this is where we break out all the entrepreneur in different rooms and we need investor in the room with them so they can ask questions. All sorts, and we're also gonna bring our sponsors to spread in different rooms so they can get some sort of maybe legal advice and so on and so forth. So, Bart, if you like to be there, we could put you in the breakout room, then you can talk to the founder directly.
Would be a good idea.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. So, so please mark it on your calendar, October 29th, 5 p.m. We have dinner there, and it's gonna be at SoCal University. And the 2 founders here, maybe you would like to join us. Ask Kyle for the link. The other thing is, I don't know how many of you had just, RSVP, but tomorrow at UCI The Cove, starting at 9:45 is the TCA Best of the Best. If you have an RSVP, use your last opportunity, and lunch is served there, and there's like 100, almost 130 so far, so it's a good place to meet TCA members and founders of the ecosystem. This is us building our brand, so, and we have the advantage of, it's right here at our backyard. People from LA and Pasadena had to drive down, but this is at UCI, the hub. So if you have an RSVP, please go ahead, and now we are.
One more quick thing. I would just send out a note, Kyle put it into his weekly, Laura will put it together. But on October 30th from 12:30 to 2, right before the ECM, which you should put on your calendar as well, we do have a unique pitch program in conjunction with Peach Score. We're gonna take a look at their top 5 or 6 deals from their Peach Score store and, provide that to our TCA members, SoCal Alliance, as well as our strategic affiliates. But if you want to invite other people to Zoom conference, it's easy to do. But it would be interesting to see how their AI, Peach Score AI, looks at these deals and see if we can pick out some high potential deals.
Okay, well, I was gonna say break, but then he interrupted, so I'm
I
also.
do that all the time.
I might as well add the last thing. Please try to come to our ECM on October 30th, because that's when you get to decide. We're gonna have to, first of all, you can self-nominate or nominate somebody for the next president, because I will be done by December. And we need a new president to run our organization. And the process is, you can self-nominate, or you can nominate somebody. Just ask Kyle for the form. But October 30th, everybody is welcome to come to the ECM meeting, because you get to help pick the top 3.
And if you're not there, we'll nominate you and you can become president without any problem.
Yeah, great time.
Think about it that way.
Great time.
Yes, I'm not.
So I think that would be the easiest way. I just don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Some of this can go more wrong.
I mean, it's the stuff. Yes, that's fast.
We have seen people who knows the.
Yeah, we got him. Hey, best you heard good? All right.
I'll get you one of the days.
Let's go.
George is standing, so George is taking notes. Okay, before we get started, I want you to know that Kyle's been with us almost a year and a half. And he's officially going to take a mini break, so tell them your dates.
Going to Mexico on Friday, I'm coming back Tuesday, but I'll be back in office Wednesday.
Okay. So finally, I think we can take a vacation.
I have pre-screen and screening announcements all sent out already. I'll have my computer. If you have any emergency, I'll have my phone.
All right.
I got the magenta plan, so I'll have some service down there.
Are we gonna get the weekly report on Monday?
Where are you going? Probably will. Where are you going? Oaxaca. Ooh, Oaxaca, Mexico.
Mexico. Okay, so try not to bug you. That's what I'm saying.
I will have my computer and my phone, but
Take pictures, post it on their app. Oh, yes.
I'm already set up. I'm already set up. Yep.
Okay.
You bet.
Good. So. Let's get started. As a fourth company, we need somebody to write contact vote test. You know what? My standard way, I'll do it this way. Phil, pick the one you like.
Take Volt test.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So Phil, start with vote test. And then we have Corvus Medical. George,
Who wants to do it?
I was thinking maybe George would.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, George. And then Savory Therapeutics. Foods.
Who eats Gerber baby food today?
Just checking, or has a kid that does.
I could talk to her for continuity's sake. I've been talking to her, unless someone else wants to do it.
I'll help you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, for Paul, thank you.
See if they have a pizza flavor. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
I was thinking curry flavor, but
So we have Italian, curry, and pizza. We have to have that.
Yeah.
It could be targeting all that. Okay, last we have gel tech.
I'll do it.
Oh, we'll do it. Perfect. So we're good.
Thank you.
Phil? What would you like to say about vote tests? What do you like? Or
Defer to Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I like the fact that, number one, there's a big market, electric vehicles are there, they're gonna be there for a long term. And now you're gonna have a lot of the electric vehicles being turned over either from a lease or other things. You want to check the battery since it's the most important thing. So I like the fact that for a dealer or for a service provider, to pay only $399, it makes sense. I like the fact that the dealer or the service provider can do a warranty. there's a possibility he can put these into like AutoZone or O'Reilly's or Pep Boys and actually have it as another opportunity for revenue streams on a per use basis. So I think the, you know, and the technology is there. I mean, you're using an OBD2 port, which is fine, easy enough to do. I have a whole bunch of concerns though on both tests that go beyond it, but I think it's a good target for, in my opinion, the smaller dealers, the independent shops. Because there is other competition in this area from people like, I think it's, Avalue, as well as Cox, that will go after the larger multi-dealer locations. And, the $10 billion post to be given as an equipment potential, equipment service, equipment-oriented service. I think the $10 billion post at this stage seems to be high, even though they've said they have some customers. So it's like pros and cons together.
I think pros wise, cutting down the time to test the health of the battery dramatically compared to, discharging the whole battery overnight and recharging it and doing the test. So the only thing I don't know is how accurate the results are in 2 minutes. So that's something to see.
Well, the question for a dealer is, do I want to use an OBD2 port or do I want to go into the wiring harness and go directly into the sensors? So that's an interesting question because there's a big difference in this capability and what you can actually gain.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fast, so I like it from that perspective.
Yeah.
I think, again, my concern would be that, what they are doing, has got a lot of risk in the sense that the car manufacturers can have a different encryption scheme, and that would require them to adapt to it, and, that's something, and they can even get, locked out if the car manufacturers decide to do something similar and give it to every user on their dashboard.
That's right.
Go ahead, Hans.
It's the only way you can get data out of a battery on lifetime is if you discharge it. There is no other way to technically figure out what the hell it is. So the reason Tesla takes 16 hours, because what they do, they discharge the battery and they look at the test results and then they can tell what the life is. Anything else is garbage. So whatever the hell they do, doesn't mean anything. They cannot get any accurate life data out of without discharging that. I mean, that's just technical. So I don't know what they do, what focus they use to do that, but I don't think it has any value what they do.
It's the recalibrate actually in discharge anyway.
The only way you can do it is discharge the battery, measure how long it takes, measure what the voltage to current is.
Right.
You cut out what the decline is, and then you can tell what the life is. Otherwise, there is no way of telling what the life is.
So as a follow-on to what Hans just said, there's a group called TUV that does certification of batteries. I don't, and I think the only way to get certified is to do exactly what Hans said, you have to discharge and recharge.
Yes.
So I don't know if in fact the big dealers will want to have a non-certified battery, or how they're gonna get to certification through this TUV system with that minimalist.
Well, they're not really doing anything except providing the current date. That's it. So they're not really certifying anything, and also.
Well, how do they do warrant? That's the problem.
No, I don't think they can. And the other thing is.
Anybody can get a company and start on a warranty on a battery. As long as you got enough payments, you can.
Well, I get that,
do anything.
but it's not kosher, really.
But that's just the point.
Yeah. We're in violent agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, to be fair, there's a company that just got funded at Sandhill that sells a $1,500 at the date of the purchase option for you to return your car for no charges on lease and stuff. It's like all the crap, it's like undercoating, like who buys this stuff? Dealers are eating it up. So I do think anything that provides dealers with an extra margin for mud flaps or battery measures, you know, they've always been kind of.
Yeah, but the question is, if they provide it to dealers, is this the best competitive solution? If you look at the competitive mix of companies out there, there are from Cox, which runs the auction, on down to the little ones that I use for my, you know, my car because it keeps dying all the time, but they're at the bottom end. You know, but they're at the bottom end of this, they're not at the top end. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to sustain the high-end multi-location dealerships, like a CarMax or like a, you know, whoever it is,
Carvana.
Asbury, whatever, whoever the big dealer, multi-dealer location.
But, yeah, I'm confused because if their technology is not solid, it doesn't make them any favor to sign those warranties. I mean, the warranties are, I mean, they're very confident if there's any lifetime warranties.
Well, who's the insurance company that's selling the warrants? The warranties?
A third party is.
Yeah, usually you can
Yeah.
find an insurance company that will
Yeah.
get involved in almost anything.
I think they do a revenue share with the.
Yeah.
The dealer.
And now, let's put it this way, the other positive, the two people are automotive engineers, they're smart, they understand the wiring, they understand the sensors, they understand, I would assume, battery technology.
They don't understand the business side of it. No.
Huh?
They don't understand the business side of it.
I think I think you're right, I think they're light on the business, smarts.
Plus, when the encryption changes, they have to redo all their software.
It's another
Yeah, but
point.
Like, that's just, I don't see that being a market. Really don't.
That's like
That's the.
common and.
So see if anyone's online, if anyone's interested.
I'm gonna go with 4 on this one.
Okay, smoke.
Can I ask one question?
Just poison the well right off the bat, you know, we have that deal that, you know.
What it is.
No, you're
Got a
not
question.
allowed to call until
I
after.
can, Pat, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are we going with what Hans says, that you can't get an accurate reading with this device?
There's a potential for not getting an accurate reading without full discharge and recharge. That's a valid comment.
Which he acknowledged during the discussion, he acknowledged.
Yeah.
Hans question.
Yeah, the
And
one that,
also-
and the one that Glenn put up with the changing of the
Call the key.
code, the key, is also valid, so
Yes.
those are
Those
risks
are the
that we
key
take.
concerns.
But if you can't get accurate results without discharging the batteries, then this whole proposition is out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's not valid.
especially the insurance part. You can insure without good reading.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna go
But
broke.
you know what's the other thing is that Hans and Sylvia asked the same question about the hardware and the guy could not answer the question.
right, yeah, he went around twice.
Or he went around the hardware twice. Why can't you use just a regular computer and connect the dongle to it?
That's how it's done today, I mean, whatever the CPAC does, battery charging and discharging, yes, information.
CTO's last name is Ferrari, okay, that should be enough.
Okay, have everybody voted?
No, I can't find how much they're raising
They're raising a $2 million convertible note at 10 million.
On a 10 million. Well, they have revenue, I guess, that's fine.
They have, well, they said they have revenue, 20 companies, 20 dealers and 25 more. In the back,
They said they will do 100K this year.
right,
They will do 100K this year.
right. It's not convincing.
Well, they signed somebody from Australia that might, somebody for.
I mean, that's another thing, there's so much here, why are they trying to go everywhere else around the world? There's so much here in the US that they can't even conquer.
I would look for a Chinese subsidiary out in China because China is the largest EV market. And see if they can do something there, but so that would be my second choice versus the US, actually, not Australia or New Zealand.
You went over there, someone will copy their technology.
Okay,
right
are
away.
we done with those?
There's less than three.
Now you can call the number, not
4.01.
before people vote.
They get 4.10.
I would say it's a 5.4. Yeah. Well, Pat's giving a $10 Starbucks card without going over the retail.
I can't see that.
Okay, 4.53, this one doesn't like it.
Wow.
I'm closer. Maybe the lowest.
What did you say?
4 point something.
Yeah, you said 4.4, so it was.
No, I said 4.1.
4.0. So you actually get the card.
So JJ, I'm gonna tell the CEO to call you and let you fix.
I would think it's the most.
Okay, next. I assume no one is interested based on the score. I mean, if you wanna talk to the CEO on the side, go ahead and reach out to Kyle. He can connect you, or maybe you can find them on Startup or yourself. Okay, next we have Corvus Medical.
Corvus Medical,
Yes.
catheter-based denervation for congestive heart failure, based on overactive nerve signal work that have been done since maybe,
So splanchnic, I can pronounce it, but that's the nerve.
seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, you win the anatomy board.
I can't pronounce it.
Okay. So they proved that the denervation works, and it's not clear to me whether that's exclusive to this device or not. But one of the things that is a feature, and a benefit is it actually maps and confirms denervation, which is, I think, any of us who've ever been denerved, you want to know that.
But all the ablation technologies actually do that.
Okay, yeah, all right, so that's not exclusive.
No, that's not true.
Which one, because
Most
they
of the
don't
time you
confirm?
go 2 or 3 times before it's fixed.
When did you get it done?
5 months ago, yeah.
They changed the technology.
Okay. Okay, so reduced readmission, reduced CHF, all of those are like very clear, right down the strike zone, pharmacoeconomic benefits. There's also reimbursement, that's the first thing I would, look for, and last thing most companies have, so they're already in the cath lab, there's already some amount of money. They're a little squishy about how much, but clearly that's a good place to go. And a good answer to one of your questions, I think, which is, do you, let me go back to that. That's a negative. Treatment gap. So they had sort of confusing use case, it's not the moderates, it's not the intensive, it's the middle part. Wasn't quite sure about that, but it looked like their SAM was about 1.35 million patients, which is plenty. Extremely cheap deal. Maybe that's because of the stage with a 2.1 million, with 8 million posts, and they only have 250 left. So always love to be the last money in.
We should be able to get a due diligence report from somebody who's the lead.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Now that Pat's rolling in money in the fund, maybe we could get this in the year.
It's an $8 million post, by the way.
Right, right. The big question on that is there's gotta be a big raise out here, in 26 or 27, and what's their Series A? How much dilution are we gonna take? But it seems like pretty priced right for Christmas gift giving right now.
So I think it's a really big market, however, how big it is big.
Right.
I like the fact that it focuses on the single nerve, ablation, which will reduce volumetric effects in congestive heart failure. So I think that's cool. However, notwithstanding what they said, when I did some little research, it's not necessarily a widely accepted type of treatment. In other words, the medical community says there's a lot of good evidence, but it's not, proven. It was like the old sentinel node when that came out, it took like 6 years to get accepted, for, diagnosis of like breast cancer. They still have to go through the FDA approval. They know who their customers are. It can be both cardiologists and electrophysiologists. So I like that. We've done outpatient, which is really good. So it gives a lot of and justify failing patients an easy option. They did win this TCT Shark Tank, which is pretty interesting. I don't know how good it is, but it was interesting. And I really think when I look at their team, I think their team is really strong. They know their stuff and they know what to do, and they're committed to do this. I have some concerns on the other side.
Anybody else on positives?
Well,
David?
they have the solution is pretty end to end. It goes from mapping to verification to confirmation all the way to confirmation.
Right.
So it's a fairly complete solution if it works.
Yes, yes.
So they're using an ablation technology, which is normally used for, there's a renal ablation that they're taking and using it for a different application with a different anatomy. The other positive is that one of the people who is on their I think an advisor or an operational person came out of one of their potential competitors that does this renal ablation. So that person, that's a pretty strong, an older gentleman that, can help them win their way through the medical area.
They come across as smart group of people.
Yeah, I think they are.
I also like the fact that I think he saved $650 for COGS and 11K of ASP, which to me is a pretty good set of margins, even if
That's a really good set of margins.
yeah. So even if they're exaggerating one or the other side, there's still a lot of margin. You believe the numbers.
Yeah, just think how much the cardiologist would charge you for doing that in a cath lab, $50,000 thing for $600 worth.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But on the other side, there's still potential competition. He kind of minimized the fact that these other people who do renal ablation can't really use that same technology. They said they have to start from scratch. I don't think they have to start from scratch. I'm not a doctor, I don't know the anatomy that great. But it would seem that they have the expertise in the technology of ablation. They would understand how to do the various, mapping, confirmation, mapping, ablation, confirmation, verification. And I would assume that a Medtronic now buying this company, RDN, which is where, what the one that does renal ablation, they would certainly be able to figure out if this is a market and an application that makes sense from a medical perspective, that they can develop something similar. So the question is the strength of the IP. They said it was method and process and equipment, but that's going to be the due diligence question. If they have something unique, they lock this up, and then they're golden.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. I think, the trick is, do they have something that will allow the bigger players to look at this as a quick tuck-in versus, doing it organically, which is very doable, I think.
Yeah, and the exit potentials between another Medtronic and take them over, put as part of the portfolio, Stryker, J&J, and there's a few other smaller companies that do the ablation. That would be a perfect extension of their catheter ablation technologies.
But all that is predicated upon the studies shows the ablation works, but the equipment, the innovation, we don't know whether they work. There's no publication, there's no calibration.
This is a perfect angel investment. You're taking that chance that the upside is really substantial.
Yeah, and the failure is also very high. I mean, it's
It's
one
a
of
perfect way to look at the angel investment. Yeah, it's another tax deduction for behind the scenes. All right, JJ, you have you're 1 for 1 today. What's the only?
No, you can't.
You can't do it. Oh. Okay.
Okay, go ahead and vote, please. Just told me you can't. Okay, are we done? We'll give it another 10 seconds.
It was a mission hospital.
Seriously.
But what's in Mission Hospital?
They charged me $115,000 for a written arrhythmia ablation. 45 minutes. Wow. But they mapped it. It was really cool. They mapped out before and after.
And 15,000.
Yeah, that was the retail rack price.
Okay, the score's up. So we are at 6 oh, this is a good.
Ding, ding, ding,
Well,
ding, ding.
no, the good one is in the term, but
Yeah.
again, it's 6.11.
Yeah.
Not too bad,
It's still, we like to see them around 7.
right? And also, I don't know why we only have 14 votes. People.
Yeah, vote, if you voted once, vote again. It's like Chicago.
Oh, we need more, higher number than that. I mean, we got what, almost 18, 20 people here and more people online.
About 25 people that.
Right, so we only had 2/3 of the vote, that's not right. So next one, everybody have to vote. Okay, so now with this deal, who wants to see it forward? Raise your hand. Who wants to move it? Wait, you like the deal, but you don't wanna move the deal forward? I mean, I'm not getting the raise hands.
Well, I'll also say this as I always do. If you're not actually interested, if you're not excited by this, don't raise your hand.
Right.
Because we're gonna get stuck in another back and forth herding cats and
And nobody showed up.
if you're not excited by it, let's not do
If
it.
you're excited and you're gonna show up for it, then raise your hand.
Frankly, if we're not seeing something above 7, it's not gonna gain interest.
No, it's not, it won't pick up the momentum. Okay, well, sorry, then we have, as much as there's potential on this one, it's still a little bit on the moonshot side, so I guess we're not gonna move forward with it. The next one is Savor.
Hey, so on the plus side, I have two ladies in the family who treat patients with dysphagia, so I know it's a real issue. And so they're in the right market. The fact that they have a dozen paying customers is also really good. The team seems to be really world class, at least in terms of advisors and the founder. And I think the product seems to be almost ready for mass market. So those are all the pluses, and I'll hear what others have to say before we go to the other side.
I think for the market potential, I actually think her and the work she has done, the valuation is quite reasonable.
Yeah.
I think our CEO is very impressive.
Oh, yeah,
She's
he said
obviously
world-class team.
Seriously connected, she does speaking engagements, so the
Right.
outreach is great. So she and the team look very, very strong.
Right.
Great job to do this.
I like the CEO, that's the only thing positive for my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
remember, they have interest, as she said, they have interest from Nestle, which is pretty good.
Yes.
What that means, I don't know.
Anybody has any.
No, I mean, that means that there's at least a discussion with Nestle on, potential co-development or something else.
Okay.
But the problem that I have is that it's 2029 is when she's gonna kind of get really into the market.
Right.
To really get into this with other people in the medical food business, you need a lot more money. And it's gonna take time to build a brand, and competition may come in, and the other food companies that are doing medical food have to rely on the taste and the crispness is what the two things are, so I don't know.
Oh, there we go, right. SCNA,
Come to negative already.
what is more
Of course, he said that was the only thing he liked, so I figured that was a good key to start the other one.
So I'm gonna negatives.
What?
Are we on negative? Anyone want to have more to add on positive?
Sandhill, this sale through, she did a great job.
Yeah.
So
Wait, have they already invested?
I don't know that they've invested actual money yet, but they approved it.
Okay,
So she did a great job, but I think she had a different team or maybe some additional people on
I mean,
the deal.
to be honest, I mean, we've seen a lot of CEOs. When she did her presentation, the person that she reminded me of that I was as impressive was Immunus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hans Kiersted, that level of knowledgeable and you know, a little bit of a charismatic, but just very, really know her thing.
But can I,
In 12 minutes.
Oh, right, right. She anticipated a lot of the objections and answered them.
Yeah.
so I have a little bit of different view, right? I know Giri, you and George and Paul and Pat, y'all, you know, raved about her. I agree, she's very impressive and all that. However, right, the more she talked, I'm like, she's not focused. She's been selling since 2020, 2019, selling $200,000. She's going into this SKU after SKU after SKU. The more she talked, like.
Only has 9 SKUs.
She's gonna do more, according to her, that's why the P&L is gonna get better.
Yeah.
So it's sort of red flag for me, like the way she was driving the company.
No, but I agree, so if we don't get it, you know, she said she was already selling during COVID, she was online. So I'm like, okay, number one, it's taking forever.
Yep.
The plan going forward, it's taking forever.
Yep.
No.
No, it is,
No,
but-
that's not what I heard. She's so online for her private patient, not selling it for savory. She was working on private patient.
Right, she
Now,
has
she
one
built
clinic,
a
so-
company. That was for her.
No, but she was selling this
Now
product.
you have to have
If you
the,
look at the forward plan.
right.
Okay, there isn't the usual hockey stick, which we often don't believe, but my big question would be, well, why don't you accelerate the curve?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got this all lined up.
Yeah.
Where is the acceleration?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And
So
I
let-
agree with you, and maybe that's a due diligence question. I mean, I like her enough, I feel like she deserves a chance of us exploring.
So she's in Amazon, right? You can buy her product in Amazon today. It's for sale. Each packet is $7.
Oh, it's
She
already-
said that
Yeah.
being the curve for their growth
She has sales.
is institutional. And so she's gonna have to give up whatever she's doing on Amazon when she moves to institutional food service and they start scaling this, which is a good and a bad thing.
But what does she need to go through all the regulatory pathway and all that? I mean, and the Amazon rating is 3.5 now, again, it's 30 ratings, it's not a big deal. But look, I mean, I don't know, something is, she's a great salesperson, but somehow the result of the company is not talking for what she said she has. People knocking on her door, people queuing up for food, whatever seminar she present, people want to do business with her, what's the sales?
And you know, sometimes you've got to be a bit careful about very charismatic
Yeah.
leaders. Okay, because I've lost money on a number of them.
That would be all.
I think, you know, I agree that, you know, she's creating a lot of hype, but on the other side, you know, you look at her revenue projections, any, serial entrepreneur would never put a spreadsheet like that is so anemic in terms of revenue ramp.
Yeah.
People start doubting you, you know, are you gonna build a company or is it gonna take you 10 years to
Yeah.
get? So I think that there's both sides of it. I don't think she's an experienced entrepreneur that has done this before. You can see that from the way she's projecting her business. But yeah, and she's hyping the other side of it.
Beyond it, you know, people agree, her P&L doesn't make sense. Look, her SG&A of 2%, marketing, no way a retail company can run an SG&A at 2%. So she got no experience on the business side.
So that was going to be a negative.
Oh, here, let's go to Hugh, sorry. Hugh, go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to add is that I think you have to consider the timing on this, in that I think that Medicare reimbursement for medical food is happening, and it's happening now, and it has not been happening before. And I think that's another factor in why there's the potential here.
Good points, Julian.
But it takes a lot of money to build a brand.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, you need the brand if you're going with the consumer. If you're going in a hospital, that's why she's taking her time to actually have the clinical end of things to prove that this could be used for medical need. So the Amazon is for consumer. But if you can prove this is a medical thing that can improve people's chewing and able to swallow, and that's why she's taking that route, and that takes longer. You don't just speed through the hospital, and the hospital's not gonna give a patient like that who can't swallow or chew a food and go, oh, try this. They're gonna get sued out of, that's why it takes time, right? You can't just bring it in and say, okay, try this. So that's why she has to take the clinical route, which takes time. So even though we look at it as a bag of chip, she's introducing it more like a medical, not a snack.
So is that sense, is there some evidence that if you consume that product, it actually improves your way to?
That's what she said, yes.
I know, but my question is there some medical evidence? I don't know.
Clinical data, that's why she's not speeding up like we think it should, because it's just a
So,
bag of chips.
yes or no, it does or it does not, or we don't know.
She said she had 3 clinical trial publications and 2
Yeah.
ongoing right now.
Yeah,
So she is going for a medical indication.
yes.
Probably go out.
I asked exactly that
Yeah,
question,
right.
whether it's screening, and she said that they are with this trial, they're approving it.
Yeah.
So it's not like definitive, but they're like there is more and more evidence with this trial.
I just know, guys, we have not done very well with CPG products,
That's true.
right? Our success rate is not high. So, companies that we've sponsored with CPG that have done any returns.
Remember, this is not CPG per se.
See, that's the,
Well, it is until it becomes a certified product in the hospital. Right now, it's not. It's a consumer product.
Right, but that's what I'm trying to say. What we are giving the expectation of a medical device. We're thinking of it as a CPG product, and so we're expecting the speed to be like a CPG. But if you think it's a CPG, then she's too slow. But if you're treating it like a medical need, okay, item, category, then she's not slow. And that's what she's shooting for. So you kind of can't assume this is a CPG, because if it's a CPG, we don't even need to talk about it. We're not investing in CPG. Everywhere I go, I always say we don't do CPG. But I like to think this is a CPG. In fact, I feel like she's opening a category of her own, a very niche place where she can introduce a product as a medical, right? Medical treatment,
Abbott,
right?
Nestle. I worked, when I was at Baxter, we were working on a project to compete with Abbott on the perimeter enteral
Right.
solutions. The biggest problem was vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. People get sick after about 10 years of this.
Exactly.
That's all my choices. I want chicken and mince or liver and onions or something, savory.
Not liver and onions would be my part.
And the only way to measure taste was.
Maybe with curry.
Curry, yeah.
That's a good idea.
James,
I don't think it's a CPG. I think she's opening her own category. She's bringing it into the hospital. And if that sticks, the buyer, you don't even have to think about it. They will be plotting the way to get to her. If she does have patents. That's why I actually really, personally, I like it.
James Lee has his hand raised.
Go ahead, James. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
let me just echo that, as somebody who has a background in institutional food sales, like this is not a CPG product that has to build a huge brand or you expect a hockey stick of individual consumer purchases online or elsewhere. As an institutional, sales opportunity, this is filling a huge market need for, sort of semi-solid, nutritious, tasty food that's alternative to these drinks or pureed food, and it's a huge market from nursing homes to hospitals, and if anything, there are too many choices within the institutional category, and that was sort of the question I asked, and I think she needs some focus there, but that's something that a mentor could help with, not and so I think dismissing it as a CPG product is sort of missing the market opportunity here, and she has a good go-to-market strategy and defensible mode. There's not a lot of products in my experience that are out there serving this market. I think another potential downside is this, the SKU expansion, which is typical of a food product. Try to make as many flavors as you can, whereas 5 flavors, just sell what you have rather than try to build more. But those are on the margin. I think excellent team, excellent presentation, large market, comparative advantage, defensible, you know, I was impressed.
Great, thank you so much for that feedback. Phil, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to say the obvious, that due diligence, you need to test this stuff, and then you taste it and you get a lot better idea of what we're dealing with.
No, the other thing is that she doesn't think to be able to raise money because of the 2 million, she still has 1.5 not raised. I don't know when she started.
Right, that's the key.
She said she sold her clinic, so I don't know how much money she got, but I think she's fully invested in this thing.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have enough to go by. We're voting just to see if we want to go into due diligence. If we like it enough or we want to drop it. And we don't have to have all the answers right now. So please go ahead and vote.
Hey, JJ, what's the number?
Wait, no, I can go vote it. Okay. Go ahead.
5.76.
What is it?
5.76.
Okay, 6.8.
I'm more with that. It's a 7.
I agree. I'm going with 7. I go with Hans. I go with Hans. No, I'm gonna go 7.1.
Uh-oh. Without going over the retail price, by the way.
Where are we? 6.38.
3.8.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I'll go with that. Market opportunity and team and
Yeah. What do we not like?
go to market strategy
Market validation.
and business model.
Well, I mean, it's kind of even about Wesley 6. Okay, so I just need to raise a hand of people interested in the deal and want to move into due diligence and want to learn more about it and jump on the call. And so you don't have to lead or anything, you just go talk to the CEO more. I'm in. Q is in. George. Nicole. Eric. Matt.
James, you win or not?
Yeah, if I can be as a TCA Empire member, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
There's someone else.
Phil, we have Phil and we have Mark Nielsen.
Oh, Mark.
Hey, welcome, Mark.
Okay, so, yeah, one of our newer member.
Well, he was an old member.
He's an old member.
So now he's new because he's the last year, right?
Interesting way to put it.
He wants to hear that, Mark. No, you're quite new to us, not recycled. Okay, thank you, everybody. I mean, that one moves forward. Okay, our class company, Gel Tech. Who's taking notes?
Me, so start with the positive.
This is, which one is
Gel
that?
Tech, hydrogel.
Oh.
Do you have a deal lead for Savory's?
What?
Do you have a deal lead for Savory's?
Does anybody want to lead for Savory's? Since we have so many people. Now we
I
have
think
7.
you should bet. What?
What?
And the one that I would trust would be James. He has the most knowledge.
Right, James, would you like to lead the deal?
And then Empire. And then Empire.
James. Would you like-
I'm pretty new to the TCA,
Okay, would you
network,
like-
so I don't think I'd be best lead for this.
Listen
Happy
me.
to be
Can you co-lead with me?
I heard yes.
Co-lead. So I don't know, I'll supplement, but I need your expertise. How's that?
The expertise.
Yeah, I'm happy to be the subject matter expert, such as it is on this, but yeah, I don't know the due diligence process of
Don't
TCA,
worry,
so.
that's why we're co-leading, okay? We'll co-lead.
Okay.
There? Okay, next we will go to Gel Tech.
All right, the positive. He's a young guy, surrounded by some good people. He's willing to learn. He's open to feedback. That's a plus. It's a new innovation. not there before, if it is real, I think it can make a big difference. The team that he assembled from as a coach, as a mentor, they are, I think including this guy Eugene, I don't know who he is, but it seems to be in a good circle of people who can help him. Those are maybe the positives. Anything else positive?
Yeah, 2 provisional patents. He has a good business model, razor blade approach. So you sell the equipment, he has all the disposables, which I like. He has a grant, $150,000 grant from one of the universities, I forgot which one.
UC San Diego.
Yeah, and he was accepted to J Labs. I was gonna ask George if that's good or bad, but I was.
So many people get into jail. It's easy to get into jail.
It's easy, that's what I wanted to know.
$5 million valuation, is that good?
They said that they have more, they cannot fulfill the orders that they have.
Well, that may be, he has 6 units and he has 10 people waiting, so I don't know.
He's got 3 units.
Only 10, okay, I didn't know how many, but.
Okay, yeah, well, okay.
3 units, yeah. Silver US stuff.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
All right, the negative side. Customer limitation, the market could be small, it's all the labs who are customers. There is a big gap in calibration. I think he talked about when he tested, his co-founder tested, you see different results. So there's a big gap on calibration, making the innovation real. Based on the ChatGPT, the market is crowded. Some of the tests are semi-automated. We need to check if it does go to due diligence. He's claimed a 1-week test versus.
Yeah, but remember, he said the only competition he had, which I kind of dispute, is manual testing right now.
Well, according to ChatGPT, there are many semi-automated.
Well, that's what I would think there would be, yeah.
There's plenty. But also the other one, I think is negative, but any experts here can talk about it. The process for the gel development, hydrogel development has drug release, has mass loss, has swelling, has enzymatic degradation, blah, blah, blah. He's just tackling one angle of it, swelling, degradation. The question is that really going to save time compared to all the other steps in the whole process? So that's a more question, maybe negative, if it is not going to save much time, as he claims.
You see, what's happening, 10 times cheaper, 6 times faster.
Yeah, that's a big claim.
And one question I would have is, he's got this very wealthy guy as an advisor. If he's close to it and he sees the potential and he believes in the team and in the solution, why distract the team with raising money and all that? Why not just write a check for a couple of million?
Well, he only needs 850.
Yeah, to
850, which is a fraction of his net worth, and just move
Well,
on.
maybe the guy has a lot of ex-wives that took over. I just throw that out there for consideration.
I will write it down.
But I thought
I wouldn't ask that question.
Yeah, I thought his go-to-market strategies, I pointed out, was very academic. I think he needs to really peel it back. And it's gonna rely on the sales process that he can pull together. He has maybe the early sales because of his, his contacts, but he needs to build out his organization. And he needs to be able to sustain the differential advantage in the market. I don't know how he's gonna do that, but he has he has a good team. And even if he exits at 250, given the valuation now, could be a potential really good return, even with a couple of other rounds. Need to explore it.
Yeah. To me, he came across a one-man show, trying to do everything.
Yeah.
I think if this needs to transition from a science experiment to a real business, you will need people who can help productize, people who can reach out to customers and build businesses. So that's a big gap in my mind right now. He's a coachable CEO, but at the same time, he's a one-man show right now. And to take something like this, productize it and sign up customers is a big deal. And either he will need a lot of help from his advisors or he will need to build a team that can do it.
So I have to give him credit because it's just by coincidence that Eugene was in our ecosystem and I don't think OC invested, but other network invested. And this guy truly is in this, device company and he built it and did it in 3 years. And if you give me that presentation again, I would have the same concern because you're a laboratory equipment and and his is even broader application. So I think the fact that he's able to like find Eugene and gave him on his advisory board, I found that really surprisingly amazing because that is a great advisor. And how did he find him and get him on board? That by itself
Yeah,
is a
but
little bit of credit to the foundation.
I agree with you, but I think you need a lot of help from Eugene or whoever it is
Exactly.
to turn this into a company.
Right, no, I agree with you, but at least I think he had a good move and brought in someone that I actually recognize that actually create a really good exit. Not that it will project that what his future would be like, but I'm saying that's a credit I would give him right now. That able to retain those advisors.
He also said that the use of funds was to.
That's what I think. He doesn't know how to do it.
Say that again, Sylvia? What is that again?
It said that the use of funds was to hire sales and marketing people.
Yeah.
And I thought to build
Yeah.
10 units,
And to manufacture.
just 10 units though.
I don't know how many units.
Yeah.
Which you put in a graphic, yeah.
That's what we have to work with,
personally-
10 units, that's the only income he's gonna have.
And $600,000.
Yeah.
So this is, my understanding was that this was like a little bridge.
I think I would have more confidence, and I agree with you, the goal is, instead of having someone like Eugene or these advisory board people, if he could pull one of those and become part of his execution team rather than just advisory board, that would have bring more confidence, because they're more academia. So I think that's a suggestion I would have for him. Try to get one of your advisory teams to come build it with you instead of just being on advisory. Especially, I think all his teams are scientists and CTOs and academia. Yeah, you need one of those in the execution team, not just on advisory.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Who's taking note?
I am.
Yeah, can you give
Ready?
them that feedback?
Yes.
Okay, so let's vote and let's close this off. Any number, pick your number. Now you can say it. JJ,
I can,
yeah.
5.43.
Oh.
Okay, you agree.
Six point seven was. What did, who said what?
He's 6.7. He's 6.7.
Henry. Said that right.
Confidence.
I just say people.
It was people that put my number down. These comments, just maybe.
You can,
Okay,
you vote, you
let's
should vote.
see it.
You have to like-
Oh, close enough.
5.33. Okay, we're only up by one vote. Come on, people. Where did we go? 15. Okay, anyway, we'll take it. It's not the greatest score. Does anybody want to see this deal gets pushed through? Yuri,
I actually would like to meet with them.
okay, you may have to, well,
It would
do
be
we have
nice to see
somebody-
somebody in the chemical group like a demoter.
Someone who
or-
understands this
or-
better.
Yeah. Demoter's not here today.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
there he
he's
is,
right there.
Demoter.
She's been very quiet, listening.
Yes, so I've seen this company before. There was really not much interest. At least I'm not interested because the problem is not that real that he's trying to solve, and the solution is very simple. And I don't think there is much here. Yeah.
You could have said that earlier, Demoter.
Thank you, demoter. Thank you.
Back, Demoter.
See ya.
Okay. So now we're done with all the deal. I want to cover follow on. Maura, do you want to talk about the audit?
Lumoptic.
Lumoptic.
Yes, so Lumoptic gave us additional information. So for $13,248, the new fund, if we choose to invest, if we choose to go through the process, then Jim and I'll feel comfortable. We'll get about 194,000 shares at about 6 cents per share, which then they want to do a reverse split 15 to 1 to bring it up to about $1. So that's the gist of it. I think we talked about it in the last meeting too, but the complication is we need to put through the vote for Fund 25. If whether it's an ECM route or a normal route, Jim will guide us through. Jim and Kyle will guide us through. If the Fund 25 don't invest, then the previous investment fund, Fund 21 and 22, will lose 80%. Will get dilution.
What's in it so far?
About 150.
Well, between two funds, probably been 300,000.
300?
Yeah, I think we need to protect the investment, and many of the people in the older funds are a part of the Fund 25. I would see if we can do.
Wait, before you do that though. It's fair, we want to protect the investment, but is the investment worth it? So can you give us a?
Basically.
Yeah, so for $13,000, Pat, I mean, we email exchange many times from other people from outside. It's a cheap bet.
No,
right?
I'm talking about the deal itself, the company.
But are they on a good path? Do you believe in it?
Well, the company has a leader who, from what I heard from people, can be genius, can be crazy. And Giri, why don't you speak? You know them too.
What's that?
Well, it's like, well, I don't know where he is. It's like,
Yeah.
it's situational. Okay, I mean, he was the CTO, okay, and ran operations. I think he's very bright, okay, but he's kind of all over the place. I would level of trust average, and so if it was him alone and if it was a new investment, I would not invest. Okay, to protect what I have.
Yeah.
I will do it
Cheap
unless
insurance.
the VCs say something that wouldn't make sense. But then I'm saying, why would the VCs be investing? That's what I want to get. What is it that they are supporting? Do I like the product, the technology? Yes. Do I like the redesign? Yes. The fact that it was redesigned by professional outfits, okay, that means the product is good. The traction, the initial focus was on teaching kind of the Apple approach. Put it into schools and all that, and when they grow up, they're going to use it. So they were kind of putting it in with doctors that were in training, and that's a slow process. Okay, so now they're trying to accelerate that. When I talk to ladies who have had epidurals, okay, they said, bring it on. Because, like, once you've had multiple pokes, apparently, you just want just one, right? And the fact that here, you literally see where you are, okay, versus just,
Experiment.
And to get it right by feel alone, you've got to do like 200 plus procedures. Here, you can get trained very quickly. So when I talk to younger doctors, my nephew is one, and like I said, ladies that have had epidurals, they all like it. So that's anecdotal. But for me, like I said, unless the VCs say something that we like, say, okay, I'm going to waste another $6,000. I'm going to protect it, because otherwise I'm going to get diluted to.
And that's the bottom line.
That's 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was
That's
trying to
okay.
get to was, is it investment worth protecting, right? If you have a sinking ship, it
Yes.
doesn't matter, you throw good money over bad money, right?
Well, I think you protect and you get additional shares with the additional investment, right?
Yeah, well, the VCs are putting in $250,000. And so let's say more is needed in the future. So what are the VCs going to say? I really want to talk to them. Okay.
But what is the time frame with this? Like, I need to understand what people want. Like, we do have our follow-on is being on top of it, and Erie being the prior investor, so we have people have activity going on investigating this deal, given that we have 300,000 in stake already. We need to know, and Fund 25, if we put the 13, Fund 25 will benefit, basically we'll own a piece of the company. So Fund 25 is not shortchange, try to do in a way.
Yeah, we're doing charity, yeah.
Right, so it's not a charity, we are gonna get something. So what I need to know is what from the Fund 25 members, if you want more information, what do you need for you to vote yes to this or vote no to this? Do we wanna bring in the CEO? Will we be able to bring the CEO to do a 15-minute follow-on presentation?
Yeah, I would suggest this, get the board member,
Jeff Wesley.
yeah, Jeff, he's been very active and he's very good. Get him, get the CEO to be on the call, but the focus would be on the VCs. Get the VCs, the partners, the guy that decided to invest, get him on the call, and I would ask him some questions.
Okay, so that call take place, and then after that, if people are, if you're
So
doing.
who's gonna set it up? Who's gonna set up the
I
call?
thought you had a.
Yeah, I will reach out to Jeff.
Yeah.
Call.
We need to check
Bring them into
Because they
the.
said they would.
Yep.
They haven't scheduled it yet,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So.
There has been the drama with Cole for last 2
Yeah.
months.
Gosh, okay.
And
Well, yeah, exactly. So I need to wrap up the meeting. This is to be follow on. We're not gonna see each other for the rest of the month, so I hope to see you tomorrow and the 29th. I think we need
All right, Sylvia. Thank you. Thank you.
I know.